ulti's going to pop off from Oracle. Hook back in from Andros. Going to be charging up that epicenter. No one's getting out of here. That's 3 going down. Disruptor, he was de-warding. Look at the damage. Oracle buys back. Sweet as honey, says the big boy bear, and they are going to just crush your high ground from this. What a massive fight.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. It is week 6 of LPL Season 2. The action's just hitting up, but we have 2 weeks left before the semi-finals, so these games are gonna be massive, and I'm excited for this Dota, but joining you through it is me, GTH Dota, and the WanderingBard. What's this tournament just keeps on getting more exciting as these weeks go on, and we've only got 1 more week after this left, so these games are gonna be tight.
Yeah, it's the first time I've been disappointed in this whole LPL Pro season is that it's coming to an end or closer to one. Of course, we do have our finals coming up, but before that, we have to, get down to the real business end of deciding which teams are actually going to be in those finals, which starts this week, of course, and with tonight's game.
That is right, and after last week, the leaderboard is looking pretty nice. Oracle, they have proven themselves dominant this series with the top win 11-1 so far this season. As we're going down, it's still pretty close. Need Uprising, Crossfire, FFY V2, definitely still in it, but the people fighting for the bottom, Toons Reborn, Eternal Discord, they're looking to get into those semi-finals here, so these games are crucial.
Yeah, the road now for Eternal Discord and Toons Reborn is extremely narrow. Of course, unfortunately, AGN, despite having been one of the teams that's actually given trouble to some of the higher-up squads, eliminated due to their record effectively from last week, but still here to play spoiler to those other teams and play for Pride, which they have a lot of. So, I wouldn't count them out in any case. They're up tonight against Toons Reborn, who, as I mentioned, cannot afford a loss. They need a lot to go right for them besides, I believe, but certainly their road starts here by taking out AGN 2-0 if they can.
That is true. And after actually last week as well, there was a dominant debut. As soon as that meta changed, Toons Reborn, they were insane coming in.
Yeah, I feel like it was a process for them as well. It wasn't just that this new patch came in and revitalized their team by itself. They had been working to forge a chemistry and kind of a cohesive game plan and understanding of each other, that a team needs to play competitively for weeks. We watched them develop in this season, and now that they're finally firing on all cylinders, this is a mean team to contend with. They have very strong players. They know what heroes they like to pick. And once they've gotten on the same page, it seems like they've really focused around Gucci as their sort of marquee player that they strategize around. And he was already doing well playing like that before. Their drafts and team play just didn't always, facilitate that and accompany it well. But I have high hopes for them in the last couple of rounds.
Well, AGN, speaking of teams that fire on all cylinders, this team has been able to take games off the Titans themselves. Maybe they're not still in favor for the semi-finals here, but they're still in favor for bringing amazing games and causing some upsets here. Gamers on TCG, Dance Race, Booty Loot, and with Risey 13 filling in for them this week at least. It's going to be a new mix, but the 4 players there, they are succinct, they are good, and they're probably going to bring it tonight.
Yeah, they're a tight unit, AGN. Of course, we must remember they were our finalists last season, so it just shows how competitive this season of the LPL Pro League is, that they're our first team to be sort of effectively eliminated from the running. I don't think they're going to give up because of that at all. Everyone who plays Dota in this sort of league is as much in it for the pride and the bragging rights and the chance to, compete with their top rivals in the region as anything else. And I will note, although they are missing Farnsworth this week, last time they were missing Farnsworth is when last time we saw them really impress. They sort of came together through adversity. So looking forward to see if they can do that again.
That's right. I'm looking forward to, but guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to cut to a quick break for a few messages, but the action is about to start here at LPL. So folks, we will see you after this short break. And we are back, folks. AGN versus Toons Reborn. It is coming up, and it's looking pretty hot between these two teams here. I'm excited to bring it, because AGN, even if they're not going to make it into the finals here, that's when we know these teams play the best. There's nothing to lose and everything to gain, so I'm really excited to see what AGN can bring to the table coming up in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, we always see a lot coming out of AGN. They always bring the goods. But Toons Reborn, they're the ones with, we must admit, a bit more on the line tonight. They're not just playing for pride. They are playing to keep this revival we've seen alive. And their form has been a lot better on this current patch, as you said before the break. So there is, you know, a lot of motivation to see them keep playing. It would almost feel like a waste if they brought back their season from the brink now only to sort of falter and miss the finals.
And something that we do have a little bit of downtime to really talk about is, unfortunately, due to coronavirus, we've had to cancel our live LAN event for the grand final, but there will still be an online grand final for this competition. So all the action's still going to be here, but unfortunately, for the players' safety themselves, we can't have that, you know, live LAN final for them.
Yeah, far from their only esports event this year to be affected, and of course we're not going to let that actually stop us from holding the grand finals and, you know, letting these teams play it out for the glory. It just means that we won't be there live in the studio, which is, you know, a shame because I was looking forward to that one, but there'll be another season of LPL Pro Dota, no doubt, so more to look forward to. And in the meantime, we have some terrific current patch Dota to enjoy. Fairly typical bans coming out, just some strong heroes. Of course, we are still waiting on the sort of second half of the most recent update that with the patch we got affected items and maps and general mechanics, and the hero changes still haven't come through. So it's mostly the same old, same old. That is not the same old, same old.
It's same old, same old? Yeah. First pick tech is coming up from ANZ.
They have the stream open and they heard me say, they said, right. And they slam first pick the techies. So what do you think, GTH? Is this an indication that their current stand-in, Reese, is a god tier techies? Or is this because they are technically eliminated from the running and they want to have some fun?
I'm going to say the man's the master tech. He's the guy who's been strategizing every single season. It's wildcard. They've been keeping their back pockets so far deep that they haven't been able to reach him, unfortunately, until they've been eliminated. But then Toons Reborn, they're keeping it safe, it seems. They're just going straight for the Ogre, who's very tanky. But, I mean, techies can do the damage, man.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, now that Techie's abilities actually all deal magic damage, it's no longer the case that Ogre's like high base armor and hit points kind of makes him landmine proof. He has to kind of watch his step as much as any other support would throughout the game. And definitely around an Ursa, everybody has to watch their step. This hero, this hero is out of control. This hero is one of the reasons that we really need the second half of that balance patch. It's not unbeatable, but it's really hard to not just slam pick it like as soon as you feel like you're able to in the draft. It's just good against everything. Good early game, good late game, takes Roche, takes towers, farms. If you buy Battle Fury, what could you ask for?
I'm pretty sure this hero specifically himself has taken about 300 MMR off me just by being picked. So I'm not feeling confident about Ursa, but as soon as I see it, I'm scared of it. So really, Toons Reborn, they kind of need to deal with it. Once you see the Ursa, what do you feel like picking up? Because I don't think Ogre's the answer here.
I don't feel like Ogre's a terrible choice against the Ursa, but certainly doesn't do, you know, much to really counter it. What you need to do now is seriously consider your lanes, because we've seen this Ursa go anywhere and everywhere. You can lane around it aggressively in the off lane if you want and punish the enemy carry. You can obviously safe lane it, at which point it sort of shuts off half the pool of credible offlaners that you would otherwise pick. And if you want, you just throw it in mid. And sometimes you just catch someone completely off guard. I mean, it has like a little hop now on the queue. Means that no longer can you just zone the Ursa out with a ranged hero. If your hero is slow or has bad turn speed or doesn't do enough damage or doesn't have a stun, the Ursa's just kind of run at you and stack Fury swipes and bully your, you know, ranged intelligence hero out of the mid lane. Somehow. So just pick heroes that don't lose lane to Ursa. Really easy stuff.
5 seconds.
Pretty smart strategy to go for, or they're just going to be stealing spells, or at least they have a very strong support combination between this Rubik and the Ogre here.
Yeah, they do. It's really interesting. These are like two of the most preferred laning supports, but they're strong in like different laning contexts, which I think makes them a really cool combination. Obviously, Ogre is like one of the typical position 5 supports. You can get items, you can rush that multicast Midas, but most of the time you're happy to just have him as a bloodlust dispenser in the late game. Whereas Rubik, you know, classical greedy support, needs level 6, would love a Blink Dagger and some other items if he can. So that part's good. Furthermore, Ogre Magi, while not a traditional babysitter with a healing spell, does make for a great babysitter because of his lane presence. You kind of just ignore whatever your Spectre or whoever is doing. The Ogre can pretty much run at the entire offlane of the enemy and just zone them out with auto attacks and spells. Whereas Rubik, not so good at like defending a hero who's vulnerable from being all in on with his long cooldowns. But now that the laning phase has kind of slowed down a bit anyway, makes for a terrific offlane support for an already self-sufficient laner. That Fade Bolt, one of the few things can actually discourage an Ursa from going in.
Potentially, but these bans, they're pretty broad right now. They're trying to ban heroes that are very good against the Ursa. They got rid of Lycan, they got rid of PL2 heroes that he's not fantastic to deal about, but if you're looking back at Toons Reborn, they're like, okay, you've picked the Ursa, so you might be trying to sneak one of these really strong, tanky offlaners through the gaps here. And Underlord Timbersaw just being taken out, so Toons Reborn, they're not going to let any favorable offlaners come through, but doesn't that just isolate their pool of offlaners here?
Well, I mean, in theory, yes, but when you look at the specific offlaners they banned, it's almost like AGN soft banned Underlord and Timbersaw for Toons by picking the Ursa, because those two heroes are just heroes that get rent apart by the Ursa Fury swipes. Really just like any hero who relies on their inherent effective hit points pool at like level 1 and 2 to just endure harassment in the lane. You can't do that against an Ursa. Not only does the punishment stack and stack and stack well beyond the ability of those heroes to cope with, he can run you down with his, movement ability that is also a slow, that is also a nuke. So, scary. That pretty much means that Toons can't pick them, and I think it's a nice touch to ban out heroes that you aren't picking, but would still be good for the opponent.
Fair enough, but I mean, Toons Reborn, they do have the third pick here, so they're going to have to show something big, unless we're going back for Core Ogre, but looking at the Ursa, I don't think too much about it, but we are going straight for the Faceless Void, and the man, he's got himself an amp up, he's going to at least be bloodlusted this game, but is that fine enough to deal with this Ursa here?
Yeah, I think this is a really strong choice. It's unusual to take what you assume may be their carry hero as the third pick of the draft, but it does leave you open. And what's more, like,
5 seconds
this is a pretty much a textbook Faceless Void lineup. You really, you did mention the Ogre Bloodlust. You really do need a steroid of that sort, some sort of buff spell, not just to help with the Void's damage, but his farm. Something like Bloodlust or Empower, because, obviously one of his weaknesses as a carry, apart from his great utility of his spells, is that he doesn't farm particularly quickly. We've seen Ursus buy a lot of Battle Furies. Void may well buy one as well, but certainly won't be sad to have the Bloodlust on his side for farming and Chronosphere damage output. But the advantage of having the Void is whether the Ursa plans on going safe lane or plans on going off lane, this Void is going to be one laner is pretty decent against him. It's pretty reliable to just time walk out of any Ursa initiation. Even if you cop a stun and take 3 or 4 Fury Swipes hits, other heroes would have to walk back to base. Faceless Void time walks the damage off. So you can put him as your off laner. We haven't seen it happen in a while, but it depends on the rest of your laning setup. If you desperately need something laning against the Ursa, but if you do feel like making it your carry, it means that AGN can't do that pivot I mentioned where you move the Ursa into an aggressive off lane and really punish a vulnerable carry.
Dire team pick.
Well, speaking of punishing heroes here, we're picking up the Phoenix. We're taking away the old classic combo that we've seen time and time again, the Chronosphere and the Egg, and we're putting the Egg on our side here, but at the same point of time, your support combination, at least potentially, is now going to be a Techies and a Phoenix,
10
though.
seconds remaining.
Yeah, that makes me think this is suddenly... I've adjusted my mental expectations to mid-techies now. We've seen a couple of high-profile players do it. It's sort of been broken in as at least a strat that can work. It's not completely ludicrous. And as you pointed out, this support duo would be the weakest support duo maybe ever in professional Dota, at least since like that Cloud9 accidental Tinker pick a million years ago. So you probably don't want this. Could also be a Phoenix offlane or a Techies offlane, but or just
That's
three
true.
extremely self-sufficient laning heroes. I'm not sure. It's not like Toons Reborn have especially aggressive lanes. They've just picked lanes that like don't die right now. So maybe this could actually be AGN sort of double bluffing their way back into being incredibly greedy through the laning phase, just farming jungle essentially and 3 lanes at the same time. Of course, Toons Reborn will position to do that thanks to Enigma, who looks like being their offlaner.
Yeah.
And that's just like the classic, I'm sacking my offlane, but haha, not really
Radiant
hero.
team back.
Yeah, it seems like he is very self-sufficient, but on the other side, we're just keeping it really just flexible here. Venge, Full Spirit being picked up, so potentially the mid-techies is just coming in the forefront here, or maybe it's carry Venge, maybe it's mid-Venge, maybe it's offlane Venge, maybe it's offlane Phoenix, maybe it's 4 Phoenix, maybe it's mid-Phoenix. Oh my man, there's so many flexible lanes here to go, and Toons Reborn, they've got to kind of answer these 4 heroes here.
Yeah, I think it's important not to get too distracted by the alleged possibilities of the AGN draft. I think in this case, the confusion or the perceived versatility over where they put these heroes isn't so much that all of them are good everywhere. It's that none of the lane setups are especially exciting. And so once you're already sort of accepting your lanes are a bit junk, it doesn't really matter which bad support hero you decide to go with. Whereas Toons, you know, they're pretty satisfied by now that they're not going to be heavily punished. I mean, you can't really punish Enigma. He kind of just denies the range creep out of every single wave. He's going to end up with an experience advantage. He doesn't need to go and stand in the lane at all because his Eidolons can kind of do half the laning for him. If not, he can go and do like neutral creep shenanigans. He just has so many options that other heroes just do not have. And the baseline option is your hero has a bad lane because there's no range creeps in it. So they're already fixed there. Faceless Void plus Ogre is pretty much unbreakable. This is looking very solid.
Nice.
They're just banning out cheesy mid heroes now, it looks like.
Fair enough. It seems like real just good, solid drafting from Toons Reborn, but AGN seem to have a strategy. Well, I mean, seem to have. It's potentially they have a strategy behind their draft here. You've seen a Techies and Ursa, a Phoenix and Avenge. Is there anything that jumps out to you as just that final pick that makes everything make sense here?
I think they either want more stuns for control in general or more like sustain. So like maybe they just banned the puck. I was about to say the puck. You just want something to hold people in place so Ursa can hit them so the egg can work. Like obviously Toons have Chrono and Black Hole, so they're kind of expecting to stand in one place and these are good counters, but you wouldn't mind having something to hold them there yourself. I'm not sure what that looks like now though. You could go with like a Magnus, that seems incredibly greedy. Otherwise you just go with like a Necrophos perhaps. Just to try and like cut one of these heroes down early on. And I'm thinking that AGN are forcing an early timing with this draft. Like you're not going late against a Void Enigma with these heroes. So even though Techies and Phoenix can be very greedy farming supports, I think they're going to want to try and group up, abuse this Ursa early on, get the auras on the Venge. Techies can just blow up some towers. And once you take map control, one of the advantages of Techies is it is very difficult for the enemy to get back out on the map. So, you know, perhaps they don't need to win the game right away, but definitely taking the outer towers should be a priority. Unfortunately, a lot of the really aggressive mids, like Shadow Fiend, we've seen be a pick in these situations for a lot of teams. He's gone as well. They do go with the Necrophos. Okay.
Someone called it.
So, yes.
There you go. Necrophos will pick it up. I mean, they've got a sustain.
They really only had so many options.
Pretty much. I mean, if you ban every single hero on the map, you're like, oh, god damn it, I'm going to go for Necro. But then again, out of all the options they've had, that isn't too bad. But now Toons Reborn kind of need to answer that. And I mean, they've still got some tools in the board. Is there anything that really wants to jump out here? Because they've got one hell of a combination. Black Hole, Chronosphere, and actually, it's going to be Sniper.
Yeah.
A core Sniper?
Fine. Yeah.
What? No support Sniper? All right,
well,
fair enough. I mean, I've got
used
to bloody support Sniper so far. Yeah, it's true.
Sniper certainly falls into the same camp as Faceless Void, where you look at the hero and go, this is a little slow in like various fronts. It moves slow, attacks slow, farms a bit slow. And so Ogre Magi helps with all of that. You've got a very, very solid front line, both in terms of bodies and very large space controlling spells, the most powerful ones pretty much in the game. And you're taking advantage of the fact that the AGN lineup is extremely static. Apart from this Vengeful Spirit, you know, there's not that much meaningful movement. Obviously, Phoenix can swoop a long way, but you're not really scared of a lone Phoenix swooping on you. Although Booty Loot is playing the Phoenix, is this a core Phoenix or is Booty Loot swapping out positions Phoenix for the stand-in? Core Phoenix, all right. Okay, so this is... Yeah, okay. I mean, one of them had to be core, right?
Well, I mean, potentially, yeah. When you've mixed somebody out, maybe somebody does have to go roll. But Gameside has been just a diehard support here. But then again, these drafts are very different from both teams. I mean, Toons Reborn, they're going for the core sniper here. But a very interesting draft from AGN. Is it interesting enough to take the game, though?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with AGN. And that's not just a troll either. Like, okay, definitely it seems like they are playing a bit experimental tonight. They have a stand-in, and obviously they aren't, you know, in contention for the finals whether they win or not. I don't think they're just here to give the game to Toons Reborn by any stretch. And this lineup is actually pretty well matched up against the Toons draft. If this draft has a weakness, it's greediness. Look, Faceless Void and Sniper both need a lot of time and space. Even Enigma, who's like meant to be your team fighter, who's like holding ground for you in the early fights, kind of needs a couple of items and a lot of levels. So yes, they have picked some decent supports to enable that, but what's going to happen is this core Phoenix lines up actually very well against the Faceless Void by just putting out consistent damage and ruining your ability to last hit. It's very hard to survive that by just time walking because the damage is slow and gradual over time. And then this Booty Loot Phoenix is presumably going to hit a power spike very early on where it's quite difficult to fight into. Between that and the Necrophos, your amount of healing is intense. So even a little bit of pushing power and 1 or 2 one-team fights will, you know, start the chain of towers crumbling.
Well, I guess we'll find out here. Actually, really interesting play from Techies there. He's mined the ancient camp. That seems to be a little bit of a dream there. Is it even enough damage to take out the ancients?
I'm not sure. I don't know whether they're going for some sort of combo play, like Phoenix's Sunray does percentile damage. So I'm just trying to think if there's some use of spells. Maybe they're just going to bring all their heroes here, or maybe Techies is going to come back once the mana's regen and lay down more mines once these blow up.
Ah, a smart plan on that. But I mean, while we've got a little bit of downtime here, we'd like to thank another one of our sponsors here from LPL for this season. The New Zealand Defence Force is actually sponsoring us this season, bringing us all these great games here. And they're also recruiting for all roles in the Navy, the Marine, in the Air Force, and the Army. And if you're looking for some more information, just head on over to defencecareers.mil.nz for all the information needs. And we thank them for sponsoring. But speaking of runes, we're going to be trading them pretty evenly between these teams here. 2 apiece. So nice, even trade to begin with.
Yeah, the top lane runes just being seeded. Obviously, AGN have bigger plans as Techies mines up another neutral camp as well. So we mentioned the possibility of this being like a veteran Techies player. This certainly seems like a confident play. You don't just do this at level 1 unless you know it's going to work for something.
But the one thing about it is these camps are going to spawn in 30 seconds, and Techies might not get the XP. He'll get the gold, but I don't think he'll get level 2 out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's Dire Straits here playing the Techies, so, you know, we've seen Dire Straits play more than one unusual hero. It looks like he's moving back now to actually get the XP. I would have said that, you know, maybe it's worth getting the lane presence, but definitely worth it to get the XP. This Phoenix will be all right, hopefully.
Well, it seems like all these lanes are pretty much all right. Enigma's doing exactly what Enigma does. Denies range here. Brutaloot, he's trying to get a little bit of farm here, but because Techies left him alone, they're just running straight for him and trying to break his wings. Can they take him down? I think he's committing to his own death here. Does swap the self. Still running. They should have another jump in a couple seconds, but with the ignite and slow, Ganchi is gonna be able to maybe take it. There we go. Puts him down. First blood going straight to Toons Reborn here.
Yeah, that seems like a potential coordination. If you know that your Techies is going to leave the lane for an extended period at level 1 to do that neutrals trick, surely you skill the Icarus dive and you hold off on the Fire Spirits for a level.
Well, I guess we'll find out, but the lanes aren't going too badly overall. It looks like Sentinel's going to be trying to keep games hard down, but Ursa is still feeling favorable. Even if he doesn't get a range creep, he's still very dominant if Enigma does come too far forward. And with Avenge supporting him up there, they should potentially have this kill combination. So Toons Reborn really do have to play safe in this lane.
Yeah, like I said, the Toons Reborn's lanes look like they sort of line up pretty well, but this Enigma Rubik lane is only as strong as their ability to keep heroes off of the Enigma, right? Like we said, Rubik's cooldowns are quite long, so he's weak if you're able to get an all-in sort of more than once in a minute-long period. And Enigma doesn't really have any defensive abilities other than this screen of Eidolons, so you know they'll be constantly trying to posture on AGN and line up Avenge stun to enable the Ursa to get in and do that dirty work he does best.
Speaking of Techies, trying to suicide a little bit, actually more HP, and he gave his life away. Boy. Okay, that's a strategy, I guess.
Okay. So maybe Dire Straits has read a guide on how to play Techies, but not actually played very much Techies.
Well, Sentinel, he's trying to read a guide on how to get away on the Rubik. He's just running. He puts the Ursa up on a cliff, so he just has to leap back on down so Ursa's not stuck up there. But late Rubik does survive here, so lane's not too bad at this situation. Ursa, TCG is having a fine time in bottom lane. 11 last hit so far. Enigma's up to 8-5, which is probably even between them. But if you look at a little bit of a comparison here, the Faceless Void is 7-1 in the top lane, so a little bit more comfortability in this Ursa. But it seems like Void, he's still able to farm this game. Do you think he's going to go for more of an aggressive build, or is he going to go back for the old farming since every single core hero these days kind of picks up a Battle Fury?
Well, I mean, apart from it just being the meta, I'm not really 100% what an aggressive build for a Faceless Void even looks like. Like, even the Sniper can go a more heavily aggressive build, but I suppose it's just a mom. Even that team feels more like a farming item. It really is like a 2 or 3 item hero. That being said, I'm sure they're going to try and put something together. Maybe you can get away with just buying some stats and you rely on the Bloodlust to add a lot of the damage, because you do need to be a degree tanky against heroes like Phoenix and Necro.
Sentinel, Skills of Grapes, gonna take some to the back though, try to keep on running, but EXPX, he is just hanging beside him, so he'll take every single creep for himself. So they're really just prioritizing getting this farm on the Enigma here. The black hole does seem a little bit major here, so it seems like we have ideas of how to play these lanes here. So he's just looking to farm, do the classic here, but it looks like Toons Reborn, they're focusing on making sure their playmaking heroes get the XP they need. XPX will have a black hole, which is going to be able to dictate most of these team fights here, but looks like mid, Necrophos, he's getting pressured up, but Sniper is farming. So if you have two cores sniping, it's an Enigma. Actually, we'll hold that for a second because Necrophos might be dead here with so many shrapnels flying. He has to move forward, heal up a little bit more. He does try and get a little bit of pulse, but the only pulse he'll be seeing is his dead heartbeat as he's taken down. 21 seconds, but Gachi on the other side, he's running back too. We got a little bit of silence from Dire Straits, but he's absolutely fine. But at the same point of time, we're losing heroes on both sides because Sentinel takes a dive. Oh, Gachi, he's just being sunrayed to death.
Sunray?
He's good.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Woo! Okay, first one. That's can't jump.
Playing a little bit cocky, but I mean, that's just the consequence of how this lane lines up, right? You've got that time walk and you're pretty much safe as long as it's available. As you mentioned, you have to be slightly careful of the techies blast off, but that requires a lot of mana and a very long cooldown, so I'm sure that, you know, now that the time walk is back up, you can...
Gachi's dead, by the way. He got mined.
Gachi, I was literally mid-sentence describing how you would be able to time walk out from under that explosion on reaction. Oh my goodness.
Well,
okay, so
I mean,
apparently
maybe he can listen to the stream after and he'll learn.
Yeah, Gachi, look, just have your time walk out ready to cast, because you know that's coming, and then as soon as you see the techie's airborne, just click, like, anywhere away from him. It's that simple. Never mind. TCG's been clicking away from heroes.
He's just charging. He's very low though. He's taking a whole bunch of damage from the Eidolons and it's starting to keep him back, but he is just chipping away. The bear is dead. Level 5 is not good enough to kill this Enigma, man. And they put him down, put him in the ground, and that is a fantastic kill. And speaking of sacks, Johto has found yours. Dire Straits looking for suicide. We'll get it. Starting a little bit too early to cancel it, but Johto has isolated these stacks here, so I think we know where Toons Reborn are going next.
Unfortunately, just the Ogre really has no ability to take these stacks at all, and it seems a tough ask to pull your, your Faceless Void out of the safe lane. That's still going to take, like, a long time to clear. It's almost not worth it economically. Denying the value from the enemy team is nice, but it's still debatably good, so I have a feeling that this really isn't going to affect AGN at all, unless they maybe block the stack with a ward to prevent further stacking. As it is, though, Toons Reborn kind of cruising. Obviously, their mid lane was kind of suffering a little bit, but after that solo kill in the Necro, you have to consider things to be a bit more even, and their other lanes are doing well, apart from Gachi dying there.
Yeah, it doesn't seem too bad overall. Basically, the top 3 net worths are going to be yours on the side of Toons Reborn, but AGN, they're still keeping up with the Necrophos, and for the fact of it, Ursa is going for the Battle Fury, so as soon as he gets it, he'll be able to accelerate his farm like that. And if we're looking at Faceless Void, the man's going for Echo Saber Maelstrom, so he's not focusing on the farming, he's focusing on the fighting, which seems like Toons Reborn, they just want to bring the fight to you and use their team fight abilities.
Yeah, I am a little worried that the AGN's, their most farmed hero, the one who they're sort of winning lane with at the moment, kind of justifying the situation, is the Necrophos, because I do feel this hero is in, like, the worst position because of the draft of Dire Straits.
Finds them both! He's got daggers. He's mountain daggers, and Dire Straits is dead. Trying to jump suicide, ain't gonna happen. Booty loot, I believe. The man, no, he does have dive, so he shouldn't die twice here, but he's gonna be careful about procs here, because Gachi can still hit pretty hard. Can he proc? No, he won't. Can he proc this time, though? No, he's good and safe to go. So Booty loot survives, but Techies is absolutely dead, and even the bottom lane, they're still invading and keeping that pressure on, so the net worth is really gonna be something to build at this point. It is 1k at this point, but it doesn't seem like you're gonna be slowing it down, especially since Techies can't seem to get a foothold in a lane, and he's just allowing these cores to farm.
Yeah, I mean, Techies, in pro games at least, doesn't usually seem to take over a side of the map like he... Oh, gets the dive as well in the Void. This is what he does do.
Egg.
Looping over.
He's melting. It's gone. It's burning. No.
Yeah.
We're good. I mean, it was nice.
I don't know if we just wanted to refresh his health and mana, but yeah, that's certainly a very aggressive egg. Oh, going after Gachi, they're going to zone him out of the lane.
That's a plus. That's good. It's farm for your Phoenix.
But yeah, as I was trying to say at some point, you really do need to get farm on this Phoenix and this Ursa, who is, actually struggling against this powerful Enigma Rubik lane, because this Necro is pretty poorly positioned in the draft. it's one of the heroes I mentioned they could take on like to help their own strategy. When you line it up against the lineup of Toons Reborn, this hero relies on casting his spells constantly and being positioned around and in the enemy team to do damage and to survive. So if you get touched by a Chronosphere or Black Hole, you just die.
Oh, actually, Gachi moving into the mines, has to go the other way, so now he's going to burn to death. No, he jumps out, he's absolutely safe again. So close to killing him every time.
He's almost baiting me on commentary, because I'm looking at him and I'm like, well, he has Time Walks. There's probably no way he dies here. And I'm watching him, like, step into and out of these mines, hear that really loud alarm noise going through, like, is he going to get blown up? He died before. Maybe. So, no, Gachi this time...
I mean, circuits are going to come back for a third time.
Surely he has his finger on the button now. Like, this is a fool me once, you know, shame on you, fool me twice, I retire from professional Dodo kind of, you know, situation.
Scared. Bird 10-minute runes are coming up, though, so we might see a little bit of contention here. Gachi being low HP might be a possibility that you could take advantage of if he goes to contest these runes, but it seems like they're going to be giving up a little bit as Voodoo flies on into Johto, who is actually not quick enough to steal it. Oh, no, he does steal it. He's good. Voodoo finds it against something. The Ogre takes it with his big, clumsy hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Johto was just standing right on top of the bounty rune, so nice moves by Voodoo, of course, utilizing the Icarus dive to move around the map and swoop onto objectives unexpectedly, but you need to be a little bit quicker, get there before the blue man does.
That's true. 2-5 right now. We're 10 minutes in, but I don't think the lanes are going completely against AGN at this point, but really, they're a little bit backwards here. I mean, your Necrophos has the advantage here. What's the gameplay? Do you want Necrophos to make the rotation, or do you want to keep him farming until he reaches that blade mail? But that's still more possibilities for the cause of Toons Reborn to accelerate here.
I mean, unfortunately, if you wanted to rotate, the situation you've set yourself up with these cores and even these supports is that you just don't. Like, the only hero I can see moving out of their lane profitably is like the Vengeful Spirit, or, you know, possibly the Phoenix with the ultimate. I guess you can move the techies, but it seems to be, you know, at the moment best suited to sitting in this top lane. You've already started to get the mind control up. It doesn't, you know, feel nearly as strong to sort of have half as many mines divided between two lanes as it does to completely mine up one side. So now you've committed to top lane, you may as well keep it up as you commit to a dive in but miss everything with the blast off.
Gachi's go. He's going. He's chasing. I'm going to coming in from downtown and gets him very low. We've got to jump forward a little bit more. He gets himself dive straight. Egg pop, Chronosphere on the egg to get the egg. Okay, they pop it, and now they're going to be popping the Venge with a stone coming out for Johto. Even the one-shot's coming out. Gachi drops his items. They're going to get a little bit of all mana efficiency, but they've got some more kill efficiency because it turns out to be 3.
Yeah, and that's why I don't want AGN to group up right now. It's not just that their heroes like are quite farm-reliant, slow farmers who, you know, are going to do their best item getting at this point in the game alone, but oh no, Reese. Can't
die here. He's got so much regen, but we do have a little bit of assassinate. Okay, we're good. The Shuttle's doing a lot of damage. The Dice Race is keeping everybody back, but again, Necrophos survives, but he just barely survives that, and he's building a hood, which seems to mean he's delaying his game even further. Boodaloo's trying to fight Johto here, but as soon as he fires in, he gets done, and then Gachi joins the party. Gonna look for the procs. Can he get the procs? He gets one, but he's gonna need a few more to actually get the kills here. The attack speed slow is gonna be hurting him, but he jumps forward anyway. With time coming up from Johto, they're just gonna beat him down the old-fashioned way. Without an egg, he is gone. The bird is clipped. Now Game is Hard comes in to save his friend, but now he's just being run again. The mine does a whole bunch of damage to Gachi. He's very low at this point. Necrophos is coming just get the Reaper, and Johto, I think he's baiting his own HP just to go for me, but it means Gachi does get out in the end. Johto walks away. Everybody survives, and you lose your hero. Speaking of heroes that have gone down, Ursa died in the bottom lane as well. These heroes are just falling apart on the side of AGN.
Yeah, I think that's like the thing that most shocks me is that the Ursa is really suffering like this and dying repeatedly even in the laning phase. That's like all the other things you can kind of maybe explain away, but you know, the Ursa getting rolled is a real dark sign for you, and of course the net worth does not help either, although it's nice to see that, you know, sometimes in the past we've seen these techies get picked and play this greedy support game and then still somehow end up, you know, with no more net worth than a usual support. At least we are seeing some decent farm on Dire Straits here. I just don't know if it makes up for, you know, how free a game the Toons Reborn cores are having.
Well, it doesn't seem like too much big of a goal difference between these teams. It's 2K. I mean, it's 13 minutes in, but it's still, okay, 3K. It's not completely insurmountable here, assuming you get the Battle Fury yourself, but Gachi is still keeping the aggressive on the bottom lane. I mean, the Spirit Vessel is coming on Booty Loot if he does get the space here, and these are potential tools that AGN can use to get back into this game, but man, the pressure from Toons Reborn is still insane here.
Yeah. I mean, you say it's not too big a gold lead, but everything in Dota is judged in context, and the context of this team having a Faceless Void and a Sniper and an Enigma, you know, any gold lead they have over AGN right now is pretty huge, just because AGN only have so long a window, realistically, that they can win this game in with this, what is essentially a solo Ursa core when it comes to damaging objectives, and even heroes mostly. You know, Phoenix and Necro do contribute damage. Like, when we look at the end game screen, they will have a lot of hero damage on them. But in terms of, like, bursting down targets in fights, which you need to be able to do realistically, they are not big helpers, apart from the Necrophos ult to capitalize on something Ursa starts off. So, a lot resting on the Bear's head.
Big starting off. We found ourselves Booty Loot. Chronosphere just going to be committed for it to take this Phoenix down. He is gone, and another kill on the side of Toons Reborn. We're 2-11 at this point. The tier 2s are being taken before the 20-minute mark. And right now, TCG's answer is run at the Enigma, kill the Enigma, and get a kill on their side. That's a lot of gold going back to TCG here, but the pressure is still on the side of Toons Reborn. Maybe you get a couple runes to your name here, but the Battle Fury is still being farmed.
Yeah, it seems like both teams are sort of still just taking the game as being in its early stages right now, throwing out those like just solo ults to get the, you know, individual hero kills and focusing more on farming their cores. But it is a big worry to me that, you know, the Sniper and Void team is going to be knocking on a tier 2, you know, as their opponents are just taking their tier 1 in the opposite safe lane, right? Like, these are the heroes who you would expect to be, you know, peaking and taking these objectives later on, but instead they are like cruising and expanding their gold lead. And the Void is that a second item BKB, just straight mom BKB?
Pretty much. He's just looking for business here. He's got a Mask of Madness. He's looking for some pain. It's looking pretty nice here, and still rising. He's still farming his hood. I mean, he's got it, but he's trying to complete a pipe complete. It looks like AGN, they're waiting for their opportunity to come, but it depends if Toons Reborn give it. Maybe they can get out from Gachi with the Reaper Staff coming down. There's not enough damage. He jumps off all of it. He's good to go, and they're just focusing down the 8. That does nothing. SPX is just going to get a black hole between 2. Gachi jumps back on in. They're cleaning up AGN. They thought they had the opportunity of a lifetime, but it turns out it just killed 3 of them, a tower, and gave even more gold to Toons Reborn.
Yeah, poor Risi making his debut here in the competitive scene as a Necrophos mid for AGN. You can pinpoint the exact moment when his Dota heart breaks in half as the Reaper side fails to kill the Faceless Void and then immediately gets time walked off. That's just a lost fight, unfortunately. And, you know, already down a bunch of gold to a superior late game team, and with the gold lead starting to accelerate, that was a fight you could not afford to lose that heavily. AGN just can't put it quite together at the moment.
Okay, it seems like a whole bunch of pressure is coming onto them. In fact, you know, all these heroes that need so much farm, it doesn't seem to be hurting them too much right now if they just man up as a big 5 unit and push down your towers. TG is desperately trying to get this Battle Fury himself, but they're still hitting your tier 2 towers. It's going to be another tier 2 gone before the 20-minute mark, which means your outpost, it's gone at this point, and your defense is literally just putting a Necrophos in front of it, going, hey, just come at me. But then Gachi, he's got himself a Chronosphere again. He's happy to come at you, and the damage output they've got on the side of Toons Reborn is massive. It can blow up any of these core heroes, and in TCG, he doesn't even have a TP to respawn.
I mean, on the one hand, you can just assume that you would never be TPing to this fight as the Ursa when you still don't have your Battle Fury at 17 minutes. On the other hand, this is really hard to watch happen to your team.
No.
That's a core Phoenix.
He just melted. Absolutely melted.
Oh, and they have a sentry. They're just going to deward all these haphazardly scattered techies bombs. I don't know whether they're doing it out of a, you know, motivation to protect their creeps, or they just don't want this, like, weirdly messy bomb formation to stand any longer.
Please. Okay, Gameshard survived. Thank God he did not sacrifice his life. He has like literally 1 HP, but he did not give it to the sniper. But TCG, for some bright notes, he's finished his Battle Fury. It's here, it's arrived, he's farming up for his team. The solo core has got the item. 18 minutes isn't the worst in the world. Sentinel's gonna see it, Sentinel's gonna find him, and Gachi's gonna be there waiting for him. And do we commit the Chronosphere? We're gonna force out the Enrage. Game's Hard's gonna get swapped to safety and sacrifice his life this time to save his core, and it's important. It's exactly what AGN needed, but then again, they are sacrificing another hero to this void. The goal lead is getting even worse. It's 6k before the 20-minute mark. Your outpost is still on the side of Toons. Reborn.
Yes!
Okay, he's
go.
gone. Techie's paid off. First pick Techies.
That's it.
Love it.
Yeah, that's definitely some real hero value right there. It's all worth it. The psychological damage is immense. You know, they just cleared away your wad of remote mines in the mid lane, so they foolishly assume that there are no more remote mine piles on the map. That's where you're wrong, kiddo. Big wall full of green mines. Sniper walks right over it, net him and a creep wave. That's a lot of money to Dire Straits. I don't know if he'll be able to buy anything, but...
Can he do it twice?
No.
Okay, so close. About to say, if you get a sniper and a void, that is fantastic, and that's your way back into this game. It's 4th of July all over again, but Gachi, he's just going to be Chronosphere on the backside and just getting himself techies. It's revenge. Snipers like, kill him, but he does get it. No suicide for you, but it might be a suicide for the void here. No, we're going to actually get ourselves Gachi's courier at least, but we're going to be sacrificing himself a big bird. Bootaloo is going down on the top between 3 of them. Gachi is just running away in the bottom. Back to safety. Can you get the outpost back for yourself? I hope you can, but your tower in tier 1 in the top lane, it is going to be melted slowly, but it's going to be securely taken by Toons Reborn here.
Yeah, 2 heroes dead. Even these sort of weak trio of heroes at tower taking have no real fear. The Eidolons and the Bloodlust are going to do enough to get the tower down. And Necro's menacing Gachi, but not really to any effect, as the Faceless Void just happily picks up the bounty rune. And yeah, all winds are blowing in Toons Reborn's direction right now. The AGN lineup was always a bit of a gamble. This Necro last pick filled a hole in the team strategically, but had really bad matchups. And unfortunately, the Ursa struggled so hard in that laning phase. That's really not what AGN were counting on.
That's right, but right now, Toons Reborn, their counts are massive. They've got an Ogre building a Midas, but they've got a smoked up Enigma looking for an opening here, and if you want a big opening, you can find yourself Necrophos, and I believe they've found him, chasing him down, got the Midnight Pulse, he's down to wait for the Blade Mail to be done, and as soon as it's done, they're gonna put him down with a little bit of Ghost Shroud coming out to keep him alive for a couple seconds. You're gonna assassinate, you got the blast damage, you're gonna hit him slowly. He can't send that damage back, but maybe you could take somebody with him to the grave, but no, the Sun combination coming out between them. Toons Reborn playing it perfectly and putting the Necrophos down 44 seconds again in the grave, and more map control, more game control, more mind control for Toons Reborn here, as their only defense seems to be a couple mines scattered around as they go for the high ground.
Yeah, it took him a while to kill that Necrophos, so you can already see that, like, especially without the Chronosphere or the Black Hole being committed, like, this hero can give them trouble, but unfortunately the threat of Black Hole is so powerful that, you know, no one on AGN even bothered to come and help the Necrophos, you know, because it just ended up being an extra kill to Toons. So in the end, it doesn't really matter how tanky the Necro is. At this point in the game, at least, he is not 1v3ing, so in the end, it's just a solid meal.
Hey, Bootaloo's been found again, and he flew away.
Got the dive cancelled.
Oh, man.
That's an F.
This is feeling rough. It's an F. F and chat.
Yeah.
But it means Roche is open for them if they want. Dire Straits has a mine in it, so they have vision, but I'm still feeling rough. I mean, Ursa is farming, though. Can Ursa carry this game? I mean, he is crazy with this patch, but it still seems rough for him as a solo core.
Yeah, I think there's versions of this game where Ursa carries it solo, but they all involve Ursa having a better lane than this, and then the AGN team being the one on the front foot. They would be the ones taking Roshan right now, and they're Ursa threatening high ground, all of that good stuff. You know, before the Void and the Sniper really spun things up, before the Enigma had this key item of Greaves and is about to have Blink as well, you know, these are not good signs at 22 minutes into the game. So at this point, it does seem very difficult for us. Like, how do you play around Chronosphere and Black Hole?
Ooh, I think you need to phone a friend at this point, but they're charging for. I mean, AGN, they're just manning for it. I don't know. They've got some moxie, they've got some commitment. Dire Straits are putting some mines down. They might want to potentially fight for this Roche. Midnight Pulse going down. We got the Wave of Terrors. We got some vision. Bootaloo's flying in. Does he have an egg? He can bob it. He needs to bob it fast. He's actually helping the Roche at this point, but he's getting Gachi very low. Egg comes in. Ursa jumps into, but he's being held on, picked up. Chronosphere to get it, but he can't do it. He's just he finally gets it himself. He's picked up the Aegis, but he is very low. He has to draw up an item to pick it up. A Gamer's Heart is dead. The Reaper comes down. It gets them the Aegis. No kill. The jump on him gets them the Enigma. Maybe it's the fight they can finally get, but they're flying. They are running. They've lost 3 heroes. TCG is out of here. Aegis might be gone, but that is still Toons Reborn's fight.
Yeah, definitely. Even by the most generous calculations, that ends up being something like 1 for 5. So not exactly a huge win for AGN. And I mean, on the one hand, they were pretty close. You know, they got a kill with the techies. If that blast off had landed sort of, you know, before the Reaper side, that would have been a Reaper side kill, and maybe the Necro would have lived longer. They were very close to getting that egg off. You know, there's lots of things here that are just going just shy of right for them. But unfortunately, like, when you start the game out with things going wrong, you just don't have room for error. You don't have room for things to go a little bit against you at this point in the game. And, I mean, that's part of why it's hard to come back in Dota.
That is true. And speaking of room, well, we've got a little bit downtime here. If you need room on your hard drives, WD Black, one of our sponsors for LPL, is sponsoring this season of LPL and provides fantastic hard drives to give enough room for every single game basically in existence. You never have to delete any games you don't want to play because you can just keep them all and play them whenever you want. And we'd like to thank them for sponsoring this season of LPL.
Yeah, absolutely. All of our sponsors have been instrumental in bringing this season to you in such high quality overall, the production value and, you know, the general presentation. It's all thanks to that support that we get. Speaking of supports, Saturdale has been a real revelation for this Toons Reborn team. I know they've all stepped it up, and we've mentioned Gachi just because they've started really picking around him, but it was partially Saturdale's addition to this support slot that kind of catalyzed their rebirth, so to speak.
Yeah, ESPX, Sentinel, and then just prioritizing Gachi has really just worked out perfectly for Toons Reborn. They've figured out their draft-wise. Hobo as well, he's figured out TCG. It's just literally chasing. He's out of shrapnel. Alright, he survives and gets some sacrifices here, but ESPX might be killed. No Reaper to go. Actually gets a grease and lifts a little force up to the high ground thanks to Santaneo. Saves his life, and they're going straight for the sacrifice with the stolen Reaper. Maybe used a little bit too early. The blame on the heels is going to come back. The swap from game side's going to save for now. And Gachi in a bit of an awkward situation, but the man's got so much farm, he just kills you anyway. Bit of loot is gone. Man to support Phoenix, and the mines do absolutely nothing to the man himself. He jumps off all the damage again. Still charging forward, happy to take it down. Mines, more mines, get it, do it. No!
No!
It's not enough!
Oh,
man!
Is he level 11? Is the level 11 techies exactly?
I don't think he is.
My heart is breaking at this moment.
So many mines.
That if those were level 2 mines, he would absolutely be dead. That has to be just level 1 remotes. That's so sad. I mean, it probably wouldn't affect the outcome of the game, but you'd love to teach this uppity Void a lesson. At least give him some psychological battle scars going into Game 2 of the series. But no, the techies at this point unfortunately seems to have fallen off, and yeah, now that kind of represents a lot of time lost for the techies in productivity. All those mines detonating for no gain. Gachi's back at full health already. Their tier 3 is now being besieged, and there's very little in the way of mines to protect it.
Radiant structures.
They have one mine. Yeah, they have one mine, and it's enough to scare back. Give it that. You know, it's fearful.
For now.
Put more.
What actually might scare them back is the dropping health on this Enigma, because he is a key hero in the upcoming fight. And it looks like the voice is going to go and get some freaking chrono.
No, he's gone. Techies is out. He tried to jump in, got picked on up, and Gachi very low himself, but he can move on back and get back to safety. So far, but TC actually joined fight, finding Sentinel in the back, but you got to be careful. Midnight Pulse can be gone, but the Reaper is almost killing. Gachi gets him. It's not the Reaper, but they killed the Void himself. 63 seconds gone out of here. TCG charging forward, going for couriers, and maybe going for kills. He doesn't have a blink, but he has that little jump, a little somersault to find himself an ogre, but the sun on the face is going to keep him down for now, but he enraged. They get the status resistance to get charging a little bit faster than before, but they've got the damage now. They've seen him. He can't enrage again. Forced up into the team. Just going to be isolating him back. The egg's going to be popped a little bit too early, but with the black hole, it keeps everybody in position. They break the egg, and they're breaking AGN. Moving back, stars blows, and the mines are exploding, but Herbo is killing and for a dead.
That was a terrific black hole placement. Waited for the choke point to come into play. Trapped 3 heroes, and I mean, actually, Toons Reborn nearly loses a couple of characters gunning at the Necrophos Blade Mail. A little too excited to get that kill, but ultimately with just the vengeful left alive to follow up, there is no fight left for AGN, and that may also be true of this game now. Hobo D just not really waiting for the Void to respawn, advancing on the enemy base. Perhaps we'll see a travels upon respawn and have the Void reappear, or perhaps he'll just leave this up to the Keen, who's already chipping away at the racks.
it's gone. It's gone. They have Revenge. I mean, they have a Phoenix maybe, but these heroes don't have the farm to really put the impression in to keep them back. It just seems like they're comfortably taking it. They can move on back or go straight for the mid racks if they feel like it. I guess the question is there mines being placed there? Has Techies had the opportunity? I mean, he's placed mines around, but then you have a sniper who doesn't care. He's just going to be hitting it and doesn't get close to the mine, so they can just slowly chip away at this tier 3 tower anyway. Maybe Floyd shouldn't walk up there, though. Oh, they're gone.
Yeah, classic sniper gameplay happening right now, where we outrange our tier 3 tower. Yeah, this is not a fight the AGN win long term. They have to find a way to get out of the base.
And they're still stuck in the base, but I mean, they have to take a fight at some point. You've got one more set of ranks and you have no tier 2s really left to defend them, so if you allow Herbert to do what he's doing, he's going to melt everything away from you. Gachi moving forward has the Chronosphere, has the gem himself, so he has all the vision in the world he needs. So Techies can't do a single thing. They're going to see every single thing he plans on down, but to swap on into the team, and the BKB is going to be popped off instantly, half HP instantly. Can you get the Reaper? No, you can't, because he's walking on out. It's on cooldown, but the Ventil's thrown. He's on a death toll, 42 seconds of a dieback if he wants to come back into the party. But your buildings are going. Gachi's absolutely fine, and it seems like that was the biggest defense they had, because they had mines placed down, but they couldn't pop them, because guess who's got the BKBs already set up for them? That's Toons Reborn, because they've got your number hard.
Yeah, I mean, look, that combo is effective. We just saw a glimpse of what in a happier timeline is probably AGN's game-winning combo, or one of them. It's just, unfortunately, they're now so far behind that it's very difficult to tell winning scenarios. So the Gachi gets caught out. Maybe the Griffin ditched him.
Chronos, Peterson, but doesn't get TCG! He's good, he's out, but he might just die because there's a sniper in the backside doing the damage anyway. 2 heroes have been farmed, the 2 heroes doing the damage. You get yourself a Void versus Matches, but you loot yourself TCG, your only massive farming Gary core.
Yeah, having 2 scaling cores inside of Toons is looking like a genius decision right now. This Void would be very questionable to try and carry this whole game on his own back, but with the sniper waiting in the wings, you can go in a bit more aggressively. And even though they've managed to catch out Gachi a couple of times with some very, very well-placed Spirit Vessels, just making it extremely difficult to play his character the way he wants to, ultimately, they don't really have the juice to deal with him and Sniper and keep the supporting cast tied up. So Toons Reborn looking, only stronger and stronger as the game proceeds. Sniper now 7,000 gold ahead of his nearest competitor from the Radiant.
It is insane. Like, the man hasn't... I mean, he has to be pretty active this game, but it seems like Gachi has been making most of the moves for the team, but Sniper's just been sitting in the backside, farming up all the stacks, farming up all the crates, farming up all the towers, and really just getting the kills with his, assassinate, doing sniper things. He's securing them, and he's securing himself a massive gold lead here. It's 23,000 at this point. 731. You have 1 core on your side. I mean, you have a Reaper side, which is fantastic in the late game, but it doesn't seem enough to keep you away from Megas, and it doesn't seem enough to take you back control of this game.
Radiant are scanning.
Yeah, look, you can certainly build Necrophos to output some amount of consistent damage, and I mean that's almost what they've done, right? They did go the Blade Mail. They are trying to have the hero contribute as much as possible on the regular, but it's just not one of its strengths, and unfortunately they weren't able to capitalize on the things that it is strong at because of how the laning phase went. Just detonates the mines for fun. Yep,
that's how you do it. They're either going to be going for the Void or, damage for you. So Techie's feeling a little bit sad, but they are moving forward. At least they got Sniper. They got Sniper. No buyback. They picked him off. But what more can they get? They're going some opportunities. This Solemn Spell's going to come out from Sentinel, but that is a massive kill in itself from AGN. But they are set up together. Maybe they didn't use anything massive yet to fight, and if they can find another opportunity, they can take back some more control, because that's a little bit of a 1k gold off the lead. Sentinel moving a little bit forward, putting a little bit of mines here, and they can see him. Maybe, yeah, TCG's got him. He has the Blink Dagger revealed. It's going to jump right on him, but the Glimmer Cape's going to save him. So he's all good to get on back, but AGN taking some pickups. They're not feeling scared. That's the main point here. They're still feeling comfortable enough to leave the base, find you in your side of the map, and get the kills they need.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that, no matter what AGN do at this point in the game, it's hard to get really excited. They kill the Sniper, and it's like, oh, Sniper dieback, or I guess dying without buyback, that's terrific. Sure, they can take objectives, but all the tier 2s are still up. Their team does not push quickly like their best tower hitter is an Ursa. There's just so much that needs to go right for them to begin to take back this game.
Well, I mean, Smoke seems to be going a positive method. They are taking the game back no matter what. So charging forward, what can they find? Sense Neil? Enigma? Maybe they could see it. Smoke is breaking on the Techies. He's just looking for the suicide, but it's an Invis Enigma breaking everybody's smoke. In fact, nobody brought a sentry, nobody brought a dust, and that is going to find himself anyway. But TCG's comes up over, but there's a Glimmer Gate. There's the black hole. Maybe it's wasted if it's just on the Phoenix, but with the Chronosphere, it's going to secure them a double, including Dire Straits, and TCG just dies to the sniper, wailing on his face. Reaper gets nothing. They lose everything. Team wipe and GG. Toons Reborn are taking game 1 comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit weird to have the GG out off the fight in the middle of the map, but there's 2 heroes dead without buyback. They just lost, you know, a full-on fight where you basically got the best setup you could hope for. Your core heroes dodge the important spells. I mentioned Necrophosis's big vulnerability as the 2, you know, hard AoE disables, the Chronosphere and the black hole. Dodge both of those, but just too far behind at this point in the game to really impact things. And so that's when you look at it and go, I don't know if we're winning another fight after this, fellas. Maybe we just GG out. And fair enough. Hopefully they can do better in game 2.
That's true. I mean, that was everything they had, and Enigma survived it all. He just walked away and didn't even care. Like, he didn't feel it. And that seems really rough, but it seems like it was kind of a massive, well, I won't say a massive drafting, but it seems like they did just get out-drafted by Toons Reborn here.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. I mean, first picking Techies is kind of like a challenge run of drafting in Dota 2. You are announcing to the enemy team that you're going to have some really weird or soft lanes, and that your team is going to have one hero that kind of only sometimes contributes fully to a team fight. You're pretty much just all in on hitting a good blast off and maybe convincing the enemy to fight where you have mines. And teams, there's just been very few teams in Dota history who've been able to work out how to balance the advantages of Techies against these notable disadvantages. You're going to have to play Dota differently. So, you know, I'd be happy to see them pick a more conventional lineup in game 2.
Well, I guess we're going to find out, because game 2 is coming up after this short break, folks. We'll see you there. Don't go anywhere. More action here at LPL is coming right on up. And we are back. It turns out the first round Techies pick doesn't win you the game, but that's why we have a game 2 here from AGN versus Toons Reborn. Time to rethink, reschedule all our drafting strategies, and just bring it for a second chance of taking a series here. It was interesting, to say the least. Toons Reborn played, I would say, much better than AGN, but AGN, they still had a few sparks in their draft there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, every team gets one. If you're taking your, you know, drafting tips from our friends in internal Discord, you know, the Techies pick isn't the worst thing to copy. It's definitely a hero that has been shown to be worthy of respect in the right hands. Dire Straits clearly, you know, plays the hero in pubs and maybe has been asking for it all season, and they figure, well, now's the time to test it out. How good is the Techie strat? Sometimes you never know with these things until you try it in the live fire environment against an actual competitive team. Well, they've tried it. It didn't really work out. I think part of it was that awkward Necrophos pick in the last pick, and who knows? Perhaps that's just the, you know, the hero pool of their stand-in. You know, with Farnsworth, maybe it'd be a different story altogether. But they haven't got Farnsworth tonight. They have to play the same lineup for game 2. So this time, maybe don't pick the Techies. If you are going to have to pick the Necrophos mid for your boy, maybe build a team around it that fits a little bit better. If he's got other heroes, maybe consider, you know, drafting something more fitting to your lineup, or at least that has less hard counters in the enemy team.
Yeah, well, I mean, for what it's worth, the Techies play was very interesting at the start. They mined up the ancient large camp. It seemed like they had a very good strategy around it, but then Booty Loot as the Phoenix by himself, as soon as Techies left, he just died. And when he came back, Techies tried to help him, but then Techies just died, and they just kept feeding these kills back to him. And whatever strategy they did have for that offlane just really fell apart in execution there.
Yeah, it's a bit funny. I feel like we've got a Space Jam situation on our hands here, GTH. It's like Toons Reborn at the start of the season had this problem where they couldn't get on the same page. They kind of made choices that conflicted with each other on their heroes and set them up to have a very awkward moment in their game where neither hero is helping what the other's trying to do. And it seems like they kind of stole all the team coordination away from AGN, perhaps with some sort of magical basketball or Aegis. And now it's AGN who are doing, you know, conflicting game plans. They're Phoenix skilling the Fire Spirits level 1. That's great if you've got a Techies in lane with a blast off and you're threatening, like, I'm going to constantly harass you, and if you commit to me, my Techies is going to dive on you and we'll win that trade. That's a pretty strong combination. The techies also had a good idea of, okay, I'm going to skill mines level 1, and I'm going to mine up the neutral camps, and then I'm going to get a fast level 2 and some items so I can start mining the map. And my Phoenix has one of the best, level 1 escape skills in the game, in the Icarus dive, so he should be fine for a little bit in lane by himself. They just didn't talk to each other about that.
Well, I mean, as well as, if we're going to be pointing up as TCG, he was farming his heart out. As soon as his lane went a little bit bad, I believe he died once in that lane, but as soon as that happened, he went top. He found as much farm as he could possibly get for his team. He got the Battle Fury, got the Basher, the BKB, every single thing with his name. So he was just getting all the priority it is. It just seemed like the other 4 players couldn't make the space for him.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it kind of looks all right on paper because you look at the other heroes and you go, okay, well, the core Phoenix, more of a utility for sure. Even the Necro mid, Necro obviously a hero who has a lot of game impact, but not a huge damage dealer. It's like, right, we definitely do need our Ursa to be farming. It's this new breed, late game carry Ursa, first item Battle Fury, and, even though your hero can kill, you concentrate on the farm. But the fact that TCG did only die once in the lane, but even dying once in lane as Ursa is a bit of an indictment, and it speaks to the fact that, the lane the rest of the time wasn't great. It's not like you were dominating the lane and then one time you accidentally dove their tier 3 tower and died. He was having a hard time, well down on the farm charts, really kind of struggling it up. And then when you went top, okay, you had some time to recover with the B Fury, but you gave up a lot of outer towers. It's not like the rest of the team was keeping up with him on farm or that he was necessarily pulling ahead of Toons with all their tower gold they were getting. So then you've pretty much just got one okay farmed Ursa and a bunch of heroes who are behind against a well-farmed lineup. I mean, we mentioned how early on that Sniper and that Void were taking down tier 2 towers. They were, really benefiting from the Bloodlust, picking up some really smart key items. And that fighting build on the Void, you mentioned it, just the mom into BKB, I wouldn't normally rate it, but in a game where you're well ahead and you've got an Ogre buffing you up and a secondary core firing into your Chronosphere, really did the job.
And credit where credit's due, Toons Reborn were playing fantastically. You pointed out as well, Santanil in the game, he was just sealing all the spells he needed, setting up all the kills. ESPX on this Enigma. The black holes were amazing. He knew when to put it. He was just holding them back for the perfect opportunity. We saw it at, I believe, the second to last fight. Everybody was chasing the heroes, but then he was just waiting on the high ground, just getting that little, cornering as they go right up. They see the Enigma, and boom, he gets 3 in it. The egg is popping, but they're just hitting the egg, breaking it, and killing everybody.
Yeah, I was quite impressed. The Black Hole and Faceless Void, Chronosphere combo is not as natural as, say, the Chronosphere and the Egg, where you use one to set up the other. The skills kind of do the same thing, and they're not good to use at the same time. In fact, and you rarely should need to use one then the other, right? If you didn't kill someone when they were disabled for 6 seconds, you probably don't kill them when they're disabled for 10 seconds. So, what I really appreciated was how they knew when to use the Chronosphere or the Black Hole for solo kills, because they knew that even if this one was on cooldown for the next fight, they'd have the other one up. It let them be way more aggressive in their tempo than a team with one of those abilities normally would by itself.
Well,
now we're into the game draft, so identical bands,
changing it up, AGN. Sapphire first pick. They're keeping with the Queen of Pain lone druid bands on the side of Toons Reborn. Different bands for AGN. Actually, Batrider was included before, but Toons Reborn, they're going back for the old safer Santanil on his Rubik. So Toons Reborn feeling comfortable. I guess it is up to AGN to really pull it this game. They kind of got their, their numbers pulled right there by Toons Reborn the entire game here. So a switch up would be nice. And we know AGN can bring it, even if they do have a stand-in, which, to be fair, might have some versatility that we don't know of. And Nature's Prophet, that man is one hell of a versatile hero.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing to mention is AGN have a very peculiar run of form around these best of 2 matches. They haven't actually gotten a 2-0 in the whole season so far. The only team, I believe, for whom that is the case. Their 2 points come from 2 1-1 ties. So against 2 of the top teams, no less, against FFYV2 and against the Neats Reborn, I believe, or Neats Uprising. So yes, the fact is that AGN are the sort of 1-1 draw masters, and maybe now that they've lost game 1, they're free to unlock their true power level for game 2, and they're going to split another series right here. Wouldn't help them. They are eliminated, unfortunately. Really could have done with a couple of 2-0s. But they can still spoil things for Toons Reborn here and pinch that second game. So excited to see a more realistic opening, I'll say, to this draft.
That's good, yeah, because we're pointing out Dropways, Toons Reborn, they still have a chance, but they need all these points to get in here. They need the 2 points to get 6 in between, and then next week, they need another 2-0 to get on up there to really compete with these teams going up in these weeks. So all these games are crucial. Toons Reborn, they really can't falter in Game 2 here.
No, and of course, like I said, their performance is to some degree out of their own hands. They do kind of need a couple of teams to lose, but you know their way back starts with the elements they can control, and that means putting AGN away here. And we saw they have definitely the form to do it. They've been looking very strong in recent weeks, and they've got Satnail, it looks like, back on this Rubik again, where he has just been terrific, as you pointed out, as well as this Ember Spirit, one of the premier heroes of this patch, at least until Ice Frog touches this hero. It will be busted in every lane, just a crazy laning presence, insane late game carry, even strong mid game team fights, great flexible build options, broken Aghanim Scepter. Not sure what you want from the hero other than maybe a Fury Swipes passive. I'm imagining some sort of Ursa Ember hybrid hero. Not excited about it. Yeah. That's the stuff of nightmares.
All right, now we're getting rid of Ursa. So Ursa ain't going to happen. And we are also targeting ESPX with our bans. No Pango this time. No Legion Commander trying to isolate this offlaner. They know that Toons Reborn really rely on ESPX to have a good game, to really just bring it in these games here.
Yeah, well, if they're banning out ESPX, they might want to go ahead and ban the Underlord again as well, because they've the Ursa has been removed by Toons Reborn, and that's one of probably the strongest counter by far, I would say, to the Underlord offlane, which we already know ESPX does like to pick and plays very well. So maybe choosing to leave a little bit of a risky option in the pool, instead banning out the Coddle to AGN. Toons respond by banning the Alchemist, which they also did last game. Kind of just a dangerous hero to have around. They'd already banned out the Weaver, which is the premier sort of combo pick we'd seen with it. But, you know, Alchemist is just dangerous in general. He can slip away from you if you lose track of him for a couple of minutes. He suddenly has 6 items and the game ends. So, you know, best to remove that when you're trying to, you know, eliminate all risk. Your tournament life is on the line here.
I'm dying. Okay. I'm dying without a strength core on the side of AGN. It is one of, it's one of Gamer's Hard's heroes that he likes to at least spam a whole bunch of Toons Reborn picking up here. Are you liking this pickup?
I am, for a couple of reasons. One is that, as we mentioned in the first couple of weeks of this patch being debuted, the patch may have made lanes easier in general, but it did, I think, bring a little bit of strength back to people who are, or heroes who are traditionally lane dominators just based on their skill set, right? So, like, it's not as easy for every hero to constantly ship out regen and spam all their spells, which is kind of the deciding factor we saw in the last patch when it came to laning. But Undying can already, to a degree, spam decay in lane and is just a kind of a brute force in the very, very early game. That hasn't changed, and if anything has gotten stronger now that it's harder to get regen out to your heroes. So that's good. The other thing is, even though there's no strength heroes to counter with the decay strength steal, there is Nature's Prophet, who sort of has one of the most populous summon armies in Dota 2, and that is going to really power up the Undying Soul Rip.
Oh, speaking of some guy who's really good at laning, Witch Doctor is getting picked up. They have a whole bunch of damage to really add on up. This team fight is looking pretty legit here. You got Kisses running down, you got Meldic plus Death Ward flying around. I guess Rubik can steal these spells, but then again, he can only steal one of them.
Yeah, my concern right now for AGN, especially, you know, more so than Toons, is one that I've brought up a couple of times, it feels like, since this patch dropped, and that is they don't have a real formation right now that they want to fight in, right? Like, obviously, you won't always get a fight on your terms, but when you're drafting a team, you want to imagine when you do get a fight on your terms, how are you formed up? What does that look like? How are you going to make sure that your heroes like Witch Doctor that want to stand at the back and channel a spell, like Snapfire, don't get hit? The heroes like Nature's Prophet, who's a papery intelligence hero who buys mostly damage items, doesn't get hit. And you're starting to realize that your entire team is actually comprised of heroes with no mobility who don't want to get hit. Someone on your team has to get hit.
10 seconds.
Well, speaking of heroes that love to get hit, it seems like the perfect pickup from Toons Reborn here. Night Stalker. He's going to fly at all of you, silence all of you, and I don't even think he truly cares about a Sark game here either. Toons Reborn seems just the perfect pickup.
Yeah, Slark into Undying Nightstalker seems very rough. We don't know 100% that the Undying is a support. It could easily be a core Undying. You go for a very fast timing here. Obviously, Rubik and Ember Spirit aren't the fastest moving heroes, but as long as this last core is more of a tower hitter, you know, they could very easily compensate. You could even rush a Desolator on your Ember Spirit if the game's going well enough. But my focus is that Undying Rubik is a brutal lane. Undying Nightstalker is a brutal lane. And the Slark, as good as he is at harassing out solo, you know, offlane heroes in the same way that the Ursa is, as we sort of described last draft, not very good against very powerful, sturdy offlane duos like Undying Nightstalker. Like, you just can't really truck with them. They do so much damage and have so much health. You won't get the chance to Essence Shift. It's going to just be decay stacks and pain while you try to CS.
Well, it looks like both teams are trying to take away that pain at least. So, AGN, they took your pushing notes and they got away the Pugner, but in 2-3 Born just the same, they got away to DP on the other side. So no silences to keep any of the spells away from this team here. Is there anything that's really jumping out to you for either one of these mids? Because they both seem to have a strategy they want to go forward with. One wants to get the team fight off, the other one wants to stop it.
Yeah, I'd be banning some sort of frontlining hero that makes the AGN team's formation work. Like right now, they want to really spread out team fight, but even that is very poor for the Witch Doctor. They could pull it off and just say their Witch Doctor is not going to do very much in the fights and just spread their heroes out to all points of the compass. But, you know, a hero like Nightstalker and Ember Spirit as well are both terrific at that. Undying provides effectively vision of the whole fight with Tombstone and the Tombstone zombies, and then you've got this Ember Spirit zipping around and Nightstalker flying around. So I don't think that works. I think AGN need to look for either a very large space controlling disable like a black hole, or they need to look for a really tanky frontline hero. Ideally both. Something like a Centaur or a Tide Hunter would be great. But they just don't have that many options in that department. Maybe a Timbersaw, whereas Toons, they're a lot more flexible. They can go, like I said, for a third core that can really enable a heavy push. They could just go for something that's going to give them an overwhelming timing. Like if they pick a TA, for instance, I imagine that just bulldozes this AGN lineup and their base at 20 minutes, and there's just nothing that is going to stop it. Their draft is a lot more open.
Oh, we've got flexibility, but AGN is like, no nuggets, no songs to cancel our spells. We're just getting this spells done. They want the team fight here, but that does kind of...
That is a good man.
Horseshoe them in a certain angle here, and I guess Toons Reborn, they do have the final pick, but even with the TA, like their timing seemed fantastic. TA can pick a BKB up before the 20-minute mark, depending on how fantastic the lane is, how fantastic the farm distribution is. Nightstalker typically doesn't hit too many jungle creeps or takes too much farm priority itself, so it seems like a good situation here. Puck's being banned on one side, but AGN, they get the first pick here. So what can do this? What can really just stop it? Because I am worried for AGN at this point.
I'm very worried for AGN. This draft is, again, like very, very fragile, very, very fraught. Like, it's not even just about like that. This draft, people talk about difficulty of execution. This draft's difficult to execute, but not in a way that like you can make up for. There's almost nothing that AGN can do to make it like harder for Toons. They just need Toons to just not be reacting to fights the right way or to constantly catch them off guard. Viper is an okay pick, but like, you can ultimate either the Nightstalker or the Ember at best to try and stop them. You know, it's probably the Nightstalker. The worst case scenario is that Nightstalker is just like a flying silence field that just flies over your supports and cancels both their ultimates, and then goes and sits on the Slark and makes it impossible for the Slark to do his game. But I don't think that just Viper striking the Nightstalker is enough.
Well, I mean, one of the options here, you're talking about TA. TA can't exactly lane against the Vipers, so maybe they're trying to just subtly, you know, ban the TA themselves, even if they didn't actually ban the TA here. So maybe Toons Reborn need to think about a different hero.
It's a solid block pick, but Toons Reborn, I mean, if they hadn't banned the Death Prophet, I could say they could pick a Death Prophet, but they might pick a Dragon Knight. They might pick, that's what I said, if they hadn't banned it, they might have picked it now, but really their options are very open. Like any pushing tanky core, any mobile bursting core that has an early timing, any sort of like team fighting hero, like obviously Quop's banned, but you could go for like a Lena or something. I really, there are a few bad picks for them right now. You just want to make sure like you don't terrifically lose the lane to Viper, or that you have some backup plan, like to go to the jungle. and you need to work out whether you're playing for the early or the late game and just pick around that. But the beauty of Ember Spirit, I guess, in this patch is you don't need to decide in the early stages of the draft. The hero is so strong at all points in the game that you kind of just have this extremely flexible game plan.
Well, I mean, I guess Toons Reborn, they do have to decide here because they've got literally 20 seconds between this and being done. So they are thinking about it, and their answer is going to be the Sniper again. It's just Sniper again.
Yeah.
So, cool, Sniper go up against the Viper. I mean, it worked last time, but this time Gachi is playing it. They're swapping around. I believe Hobart is the primary player of Ember Spirit on the side of Toons Reborn, but what are you thinking? ANZ, they're looking to take a few points off the board for Toons Reborn to make it really hard into these finals here. Can they do it?
I don't know if the Sniper pick was like a terrible pick. It does give AGN, I think, a determined weak point to attack. Like, that's a hero that can struggle to deal with a Slark, that can struggle to deal with a Prophet teleporting on it. That has to be very careful to stay away from a Viper. A hero that actually gets completely hosed by Mortimer's kisses, right? Like, how do you, as a mid-level sniper against a level 6 Snapfire and her team, do anything if you haven't seen that ult committed? Because as soon as you start peeping away, you know there's going to be a wave of fireballs raining on your slow movement speed head. So that one, Gachi might have a tough game coming up. The other heroes on his team, pretty much in the clear. I'd probably, if I was Gachi, just play quite conservatively and kind of wait for my Ember Spirit, Undying, and Night Stalker to carry the game. Just pick up the scraps.
Fair enough. Seems pretty straightforward here, but AGN, it seems like they have a pretty straightforward idea themselves. I mean, we've been speaking about the draft. I mean, it was kind of curtailed a little bit to the point of they wanting to team fight, Slark's going to farm a little bit, Viper's probably going to hit a few people here, but with the Viper being answered by the Sniper, it seems like AGN do have the opportunity that they need, depending on how they control the tempo early enough, though. Maybe Bootaloo can go straight for the Orchid and then just straight on target Gachi and Hobo over and over again.
Yeah, someone getting a very early Orchid or even an Atos for this Ember Spirit would be a real game changer. And I think that's what it comes down to, like you said, is see how fast can you take control of the game. We have seen one or two other games in this season of the LPL so far where a lineup that's looked very fraught on paper, like we're not sure where this team is stronger in their timings, and the answer has just been in the laning phase, like at level 1 to 4. And if you can win that hard enough across all 3 lanes, and you can immediately group up, like, yeah, it's hard for the Sniper to contribute meaningfully early on in the game against these heroes. If you all bunch up behind the Viper and it hasn't sort of gone far enough that heroes have blinks and high mobility items, it is going to be difficult to get onto them compared to, you know, what it might be later on. And the Prophet's mobility advantage is strongest then as well. So I think it really is all about these lanes for AGN, and the heroes do excel at that part of the game.
They do. They're very aggressive laners. Nature Prophet is known for being aggressive. Snapfire, he literally just jumps at you and shoots you in the face. That is as aggressive as they come, but the laning situation seems to be at least a little bit safe from both sides here. Dire Straits playing a position for Witch Doctor in the bottom lane. TCG is going to be trying to pressure up Sentinel in the top to keep everybody back. Maybe steal a few stacks here, but the runes looking a little bit safe for now for both these sides here. But, I mean, while we got another little opportunity as the game loads on in to get the runes on up, I know if we're going to get a bit of action, but if you're looking to see some action here, you can get on crystal clear vision with our monitor sponsor Conquer. Always bring great quality hardware to your screens. You'll never miss a kill, never miss a single image on your screen anymore. We thank them for sponsoring this season as we go to fight these runes on here. Dire Straits just manning up against the Ember Spirit, actually steals the rune from under him, but he'll lose his life because of it. But the fights are happening on both sides. We get ourselves a Night Stalker, but we lose ourselves TCG, and now Sentinel's being chased by Gamers Hard. Everybody will get out, but we lose 2 for 1. You might have got an extra rune out of it, but I don't think that's worth it in the end.
It's debatable. I mean, I normally downplay these level 1 fights. There was a buff to their relevance in the most recent patches in terms of, you know, they give more golden XP now. But on the flip side, Slark got a permanent essence shift stack, I believe. So, you know,
yeah,
it all works out.
Yeah, that's right. Perspective.
We did also see the, you know, the interesting matchup of the level 1 powerhouses between Nature's Prophet with the Nature's Call Treant Summons and Johto's Undying with Decay. Treants win, by the way. Spoilers. they are messed up.
Oh man, but yeah. Well, Bootaloot is just literally manning up on this lane. With the help of Dire Straits, he might not have Maledict yet, but he's still hurting with that cask and keeping Johto at bay, securing the lane. But the mid lane here, Gachi versus Risey on the Viper. It seems like Viper is just taking every single opportunity to give himself a little bit of poison back, but Gachi just sitting on back in the safety of his range here, just happily going to take the farm that he gets. He doesn't exactly have to get into Viper's face here, but this seems like a much more active matchup, at least for Risey this game.
Yeah, last game we saw Risey really take the early lead in the last hitting department, but then, you know, accidentally gave up that solo kill to the sniper. The 3 snapshot charges at a level power spike is very difficult to deal with. Dire Straits, okay, hanging in there.
Nice cast. Keeps it safe. But TCG top, got to get pressured up. Fadeball gets them very low. The pressure is fantastic in both these lanes here, so really good pick up some Toons Reborn.
Yeah, and I think that's the main advantage of the Viper as well, is that you can actually pressure this sniper, whereas Necrophos only kind of pressures passively. He just forces the lane in over and over and is always high on health. This Viper is going to really challenge Gachi, although maybe not the right time to challenge.
Gachi is just running at him. Hell yeah. You lose your ward, that would have maybe got the kill here, but you're keeping Viper at bay.
Yeah, I was about to say, really happy right now that he was able to de-ward the sniper's high ground ward. Obviously something that you look for. If you've ever played mid against a sniper, you know that to take advantage of his increased range, you'll have to have vision of your high ground. So intentionally scouting that out with the immediate sentry upon entering the lane, and it saves his life a minute later.
Hell yeah, and TCG just literally farming creeps under his tower, take it up as Sentinel just literally focuses on denying, focuses on hitting him, keeping this pressure on, but he's still getting all the last hits he needs, and the bottom lane, Ember is still having to deal with all these trees. Actually, Bootaloot going to be what? He's TPing out somewhere, probably trying to get a courier if he can, because that's what Nature Prophet does. Yeah, no, he's actually going to get himself an Undying. It's way better than the courier, because it gives you way more gold, and over he's being isolated by these trees. Nice little block and keeps him back, and the damage coming out from Bootaloot is massive. So AGN overall, this off-lane, the situation Bootaloot, he got really crushed in Game 1 here. He's feeling much more dominant in Game 2, 11-5 already.
Yeah, and I don't know whether this is what they plan. Oh, actually, got you under the mid tower. Yeah.
Well, it's Viper. What he does.
Yep, despite that near-death
Game's on, actually going to chase through, yeah. A little bit of damage. TCG is actually going to be fighting in between them if he gets them all stacked on up. Nice little pounce whip to Cookie, a little bit awkwardly timed. It was kind of stacked on up. Maybe don't get killed between them, maybe you lose game's up, but no, we're going to be chipping on the backside, getting some more damage back. The Verify is going to give him a life for now, but we lose ourselves. Nice look, but we do trade ourselves. Game is hard at the end, but TCG isn't even done yet. He's looking for more if he can. Jason forward, doesn't have a bounce. Rubik's going to be farmed in the bottom lane. It doesn't look like either of these heroes combined. Tombstone is adding up the damage, and that Bootaloot, he's going to be at least limping out, but Dire Straits is going to be dead. He's looking for couriers for a trade. He will be able to get some, but his life is gone and NP sent back to base. But he's just a Nature's Prophet. He can just TP all the way back down.
Extremely fierce skirmishing happening all over the map right now. These heroes really just going for it, trading it off with each other. And I think it's undoubtedly the Slark who comes out ahead, at least in the top lane side. So, you know, signs of life from AGN. They are definitely tackling this game more proactively. Their lanes look a lot better, and I mentioned this is where they had to be strong.
Top turn. Nine Stalker. Pressure coming in. TCG very low. Sentinel can't block him, and then lose the Nine Stalker again, and maybe Rubik. No Rubik, but another kill on a Nine Stalker. Another permanent stack for this Slark.
Yeah, I mentioned that this is a curious thing. The Rubik, obviously, you prefer to have in the offlane as a support because of how bad he is at protecting heroes who get all in on. But I would also say the same of Undying as a hero. Like, yeah, okay, the Undying has a heal, but Soul Rip, if you've ever played Undying, you know, it really isn't much, especially in the early levels. In almost, in almost all situations.
Too aggressive.
Yeah, Undying is kind of like a perfect hero to pair with the Rubik. You just have this awkward Night Stalker hero then that has like no place to go on the map. So, you know, Toons kind of made their own lanes hard for themselves, and now they're really struggling to find a laning setup that works. The Undying isn't really supporting the Ember Spirit very well. We saw him feed on the bottom lane before because all he wants to do is run at these heroes, and he takes huge damage from the treants for that, with the Ember not really able to support him. Meanwhile, on the top lane, the Night Stalker is actually somewhat at a disadvantage, and the Rubik, you know, as I mentioned, not great.
We found ourselves Sniper. He's TPing out instantly, but the damage should be adding on up. He might just be dead from the Maledict, but he's healing back in base. He's
Whoa.
Maybe he's good. He's good. He's fine. He's absolutely fine. But they kick Gachi right on out of there. And I mean, from game one as well, one of the downsides that we saw was there was no potential from rotation because Techies was stuck in the top lane. The position fight was stuck. Just securing the farm for TCG there, and he didn't really even secure that. But this time, they can make rotations. AGN, happy to do it. Dire Straits is doing it again. He went to the mid, now he's in the bottom, and he's going straight for the Ember Spirit, who's going to be able to remnant his way to safety. But they can make the plays on AGN this time, and now they've got the gold advantage on their side, just keeping the pressure on the cause. Much different than game one. And speaking of kills, Undying just dives to the Viper. He comes on in, says hello, and feeds his life away.
Yeah, Johto not having a great game on this Undying. I mean, Hero...
Oh, wait, we're not done.
Gachi. Gachi, speaking of having a tough game.
He's chasing him. Oh, assassinate, but he melts away. Viper's got another.
Yeah, Hasted Viper. Are there really many things more terrifying in the early game of Dota 2? Not really.
Being trapped inside Sprouts is a melted up Ember, but I mean, he survives at least. But 4-9, AGN are playing much better in this game.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, the draft is a big factor. Like, some lineups allow you to play better, and some don't really allow you to do anything. You just sit in the draft you built for yourself. That was it last game. This time, it's Toons who kind of have this awkward last pick that makes their lanes really difficult and static. They can't, you know, theoretically your Undying could move around, but he's really weak right now. We saw what happened when he moved to the mid just there. I don't think sending the Undying to top lane randomly does anything. You're going to go for Dire Straits?
He's going to get killed.
Level on the Ember.
Yeah, you can put him down, but now Ember's getting hit pretty hard. You got Soul... Oh, actually, it's on cooldown, but he's going to be fine. He's good to go, very low, but Booty Loot is kind of getting the swan song right now. 37-13, having a fantastic game. They seem to put priorities on just shutting down Booty Loot as hard as they can, but this man, he's getting the Orchid, and it's going to come at a fantastic timing at this rate.
Yeah, this is going to be quite brutal for Toons Board, actually. AGN have woken up entirely. This superior laning matchups in this game really seem to have given them the avenue to do something effective, and now they're playing... Oh, yeah, that Tombstone is going to be lethal. Pretty much better watch out as well. I'd start teleporting.
No, he's run. He's good. Chain 7 seconds away. He's got the movement speed. Good pressure. Sprout coming out, just turning away on the Ember Spirit. Booty Loot feeling safe. It's good real pressure from Booty Loot. This is what I want to see from Booty Loot. It seems like he either has one fantastic game or he just has one, you know, just disaster of a game because everyone just keeps on killing him at the start of fights. He's getting so much pressure in these lanes, and it's really... all three lanes going fantastically for AGN. TCG's got so many stacks already. Viper is going off against the Sniper. AGN's having a fantastic game. And speaking of fantastic games, they're just taking this opportunity to go straight for the Night Stalker. It's nighttime, but it's looking like nighttime for Night Stalker as they kick him out of this lane again. He's got a salve, but all this farm is going straight to the side. His item timings are going to be much better this game. It looks like every single hero is going to be able to participate, and it's going to accelerate. And Gachi, who's on this Sniper, he's just getting his power treads up at the 9-minute mark. This is not where he wants to be.
Yeah, if you're Toons Reborn right now, most of your heroes are level 6, you just call the laning phase right here. Just be like, okay, fellas, this is not working out anywhere on the map for us. Their heroes are stronger in like a theoretical team fight, 5v5 right now, than they are in all of their individual lanes brawling, right? Like, you know, these heroes like Night Stalker and Undying who don't quite have the juice in them to take down a hero, and so we're seeing them like run in, use spells, sort of get the enemy to half health, and then get worn down and killed. If you put all of those heroes together, the combos do work. Like, they will be able to get the kills on AGN and show their lineup strength. So I'd like to see them do that, you know, sooner rather than later, because they are just kind of feeding right now.
Do you like the fact that TCG is going for drums in between? Actually, it's going straight for 9, so he's going to be picking them. We do have a cookie, I believe, and that's a kill. So more stacks for you. Booty Loot coming in, does get Sprout and Sans Neil to make it a double. The man's trapped between two trees in a hard place, and right now, Science looking to just clean it on up. Suicide ain't happening as TCG gets a double, and at least Viper doesn't get himself a sniper. He kicks him all the way back to base with the chains on the tower shot. Looks like Viper's trying to man up against the Ember, but the Flame Guard is doing some damage with a double remedy coming in. He's still all good. He's going back to the high ground, going to be poisoning up. It looks like he's going to be trying to suicide it out, but they do finally get the kill on the Viper. It's massive on the other side. It's a kill you want. Shotgun ain't gonna hit the Ember Spirit as Gamezard charges forward with a DD, but his old bind is gonna send him back the other way. So no kills on the Ember Spirit. Some big kills on the Viper, but still TCG is getting kill after kill, stack after stack, gold after gold.
is under attack.
Yeah, this is almost the opposite of game one. I mean, the Toons Reborn draft this game is a little bit healthier and more respectable than the AGN draft from last game, but they have the same problem where their laning phase went disastrously, and it's not immediately clear what they do to remedy that. Like, I've said they should group up and run and take a fight. That can still go very wrong for you. But they just don't have many alternatives right now because, like, you're not out farming this Slark right now. And this sniper hero is having a terrible time. Even your Ember Spirit is, like, you know, only beginning to get items and certainly wouldn't, you know, be much worse off grouping up or having your team group up. So you really just need to get your team together and go take an objective while you still can.
Death forward on the Ember. Top lane, we're going straight for the Sniper, so double kill on both sides. Ember Spirit does get on outback safety, but Sniper does not. She gets fed to the machine of TCG himself. He's got 8 permanent stacks of Agi at the 11-minute mark. He's picked up at drums, a little bit more aggression here, and he's working on the Fuse Blade. Everything is coming up TCG to some, and Booty Loot at the same point of time, he's happy to join every single fight he sees. He will set them up for you, and then you just drop them on the floor, and AGN keep on taking another.
I mean, you pointed out that we've actually seen this kind of pattern before where Booty Loot either has like a really terrific game or like a really lame game. And I feel like, I swear we've seen the exact pattern where Booty Loot gets given this unbelievably passive hero and can't rotate and can't provide any spark, and we go, that's kind of the problem with their team. And it's almost like the heroes in the next game, they pick him, like, specifically Prophet, like the most mobile hero, and suddenly he's at every fight, he's able to make these dynamic plays and still farm for the team. You can see how well he does at turning these fights around the map and kind of pushing his team into the lead, you know, gold-wise and in terms of map control. That punish on the Sniper, you can see the passive impact of the Nature's Prophet, you know, on a hero like the Sniper who's so immobile. He can't go to the mid lane to farm anymore. For a moment, I was like, why are you running to the Slark's lane to feed TCG more? But, like, there's just nowhere else to go. Because if you go to the mid with no tower, NP's going to teleport on you and kill you.
And right now, they don't even care. They're just pushing. They're taking another tier 1 tower, so that's more map control taken away from you. You're isolating the farm. Sniper's best option right here is just hit TCG in the top lane as they get every single hero from Toons Reborn up to the tier 1 tower, which is still an opportunity for them just to keep on pushing the bottom lane. TCG is running. Are they TPing in? Yeah, okay, they want to fight. It seems they'll cancel that TP instantly, and TCG, he got caught. He got found. We got the shrapnel to pick on up, and TCG is dead. So the sacrifice will be massive for AGN just to pressure this tier 2. Maybe it's not worth it since he's the highest farm, but at least Toons Reborn, they will get a tier 1 tower, they will get themselves TCG, and they will be able to defend their tier 2 tower bottom. Potentially.
Yeah, pressuring the tier 2 seems smart. I just don't think they have the damage to bring the tier 2 down right now.
Oh man! Witch Doctor! Perfect dive straight finds it, gets a Meldic onto the Night Dog. He tries to fly on in, but he flies into the Witch Doctor and nails a perfect Meldic, and now the damage is adding on up. Maybe Dive Straits is dead, but what can they turn on out of it? Viper is being controlled, picked on up, put on down, inside his own Never Toxin, but it can't even save him as they're losing lives, but then losing Night Dog as well. Voodoo TP's, he potentially TP'd a little bit long, but he cancelled it. But right now, the cancelling game is hard as he tries to run to safety. I think he potentially has a cookie, but I don't think it's going to feed him anything but another kill. No, he's over the trees. Does Amber commit? He is going to. Zartfist not enough. Okay, we're good to go, but TCG is actually going to be here. Misses Bounce and trying to commit for the Remnants a little bit short, so I would be very careful about how far we run. Guys, we've got to split our attention here because Amber can go backwards, but does he want to? That's the question we're going to answer here as TCG keeps on charging. No Diffuser Blade, no way to drain the mana, but going to movement speed with the Phase Boot, so he gets back to safety. So TCG ends up being nothing, but they don't get gamers hard. It's not too bad of a, you know, a loss for AGN, but still, that's an opportunity that Toons Reborn took quite an advantage of. They got some fantastic kills with the Viper. Maybe they lost a few too many heroes, but they are slowing down AGN just that little bit.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, AGN still at 5k gold in 15 minutes, which is pretty healthy. It's not explosive, drastic, the game's over kind of lead, but it does give them the opportunity to keep pushing at these towers. They're now back at full health, and that was a really expertly taken team fight. I'm sure they'd love to fight from here again. You saw they negated that problem I talked about in their draft, putting their channeling ultimates on the high ground, and by the time the Night Stalker tried to get over there to interrupt, they'd already lost the Undying. It was already a difficult position. They were able to isolate him as he tries to crest the high ground and still get most of their channeling off. So, I mean, if they do that every fight, AGN's lineup looks great. I worry that it won't always be so favorable.
Nice little cast coming out from the Witch Doctor by Sansa Red from Night Stalker, so can't cast it under spell on top. He's going to be running on back. Witch Doctor going to be live looking for Meldic, but he is fine for now. Now Night Stalker's going to commit for the kill against Meldic in the back now. Viper is cleaning up these supports. Tombstone down. TCG fighting every single core on the map, but now he's going to run on back and heal at least a little bit, unless we get the stance on back. But Gachi just mans up on Booty Loot and puts him down. TCG cleaning up, finds the Sniper. Sniper's going to be buying back, but with the side of fist, we are cleaning on up. Viper is dead. Everybody is running. 3 heroes dead on the side of AGN as we're chasing. We need another chains on the Ember. We do get the side of fist, but no chains to go. But with the TP, he thought the chains were used, but he was mistaken, feeding 4 kills back to Toons Reborn here.
Does that count as like a weird Ember bait where you slight with no chains and the enemy's like, oh, they messed up slight chains, time for my teleport? Effective.
It's into it perfectly. Oh, but
Gachi, oh no! You hate to die like
what
this.
A combo. Gachi's dead. Witch Doctor is good. He's good. He's fine. He's absolutely good. And TCG's already here to defend him, and he found himself Night Stalker with the pounce. And Witch Doctor's slowly moving forward with a little bit of regen. So the kill is clean. They don't lose a single hero for it, and still AGN, they lose a couple, but they bring it back. The pressure isn't being slowed down. They're not losing any confidence after that fight.
Yeah, it really doesn't feel like a 5 position should be able to kill a 2 position that easily, but that's just Witch Doctor power, right? If you're the kind of hero where you don't have an ability to immediately escape or in certain positions cancel the Death Ward, you will just die like a couple of times a game to that combo from a good Witch Doctor player. And yeah, just shouldn't have been farming so close to the river, man. I don't know what to say to Gachi on this sniper. Just don't go near Witch Doctor.
One thing about Sniper is he's meant to have range, so you don't need to be there.
You make an excellent point, GTH. I'm sure I'll convey that to Toons before their next match. Although things are definitely not over. The lead has increased slightly for AGN, and that is, worrying considering that I, criticized the hell out of their draft. But so far they have actually done, they've followed the game plan, which was win the lanes and snowball from there. This Ember Spirit represents a great hope for Toons, though. He's keeping up on the net worth and eventually will make things really hard for the Nature's Prophet, if not the Viper as well.
Sonic might be found here. We've got the vision, we've got that Dark Ascension, but we've got that TP out. Chains ain't landing because you don't have some vision, and he's back to safety, so Dark Ascension's down, and you get nothing out of that smoke.
Yeah, that makes me feel like when you make the Sark TP away, maybe you glance towards the Roshan. You go, well, we don't think they're in this area, but they are now.
Cast bouncing, moving in, Ember going deep, but we do get a Meldic on this Rubik. At least the Tombstone's being placed down. This might be a massive fight. Death Ward's cancelled up instantly. Rubik, I think he knows he's dead, but he's stolen, I believe, the Death Ward. It's cleaning up some damage. No, he's just ripping apart as they come, and 4 heroes just get torn apart instantly. It looked like an all-right initiation, but they just charged on forward and got massed on up. The slaughterhouse was fierce, and Toons Reborn just take an amazing fight. TCG, he joined that fight too and died. It just... What was AGN thinking?
I mean, they've taken a bunch of fights successfully so far until now. I was surprised that they'd managed to do so, but that's how they've been taking them, right? And that fight started out fine as well. Their supports channeled most of their ultimates in open defiance of this Night Stalker and his silencing capabilities. They got, their spells off. You don't really want to give away the Death Ward, but, I think they just were a little too close this time. The difference between having your supports on that sort of safe high ground out of vision and having them right there next to the enemy cores is a heck of a lot.
No, we're fine. We're bringing it. We're bringing the action. What can TCG find? 12 Slark looking forward. We're going to try and TP out. We get Giotto. All right, Undying is dead, but I think that's a happy sacrifice to get everybody out to safety. Maybe you lose 1 stack to the side, but that's absolutely fine. Roche is up, and maybe a possibility for AGN to take if they can get some vision around it and maybe a little bit of map control. But after that previous fight, it seems like maybe they're going to be playing at least a little bit defensively. Nice move from Booty Loop before as well. The man was pushing the tier 3s, forcing them back, making sure they can't take that tier 2 tower up cleanly. So AGN able to respond to the aggression being brought out by Toons Reborn here.
Yeah, not to take anything away from Bootyloot, let alone criticize him, but I think that is that's base lane nature's profit. You have to be doing that on the hero. And now TCG has to wait for wary of the blade mail from the Ember.
Cast is gonna dodge everything. He's good. TCG's gonna be careful, but the Death Ward is coming stolen by Sansom Neal, so that's gonna be one amped up Death Ward when it comes to it. But right now we're splitting, we're taking our losses and going on back. No heroes are dead, but one hell of a spell was stolen by Rubik, and I'm thinking Toons Reborn want to set it up, but TCG, he's looking to play a little bit aggressive right now. He's already forced one person back. He sees himself a sniper, and maybe you're going to be able to take it out, but Gachi is moving. There is an illusion. They're scouting out, but Gachi, he thought he could take it. They've got vision on the side so they can see what's happening. Diffusal Blade's coming out. Bootywood is coming in through, but the kisses, they are raining down. His side has got absolutely no HP, and he is absolutely dead. Put him to the ground, taken on out, and the Spirit has finally got melded himself, but it's fighting for the 20, but it's a Night Stalker silencing up everybody, and Sentinel's Death Ward, it is cleaning up the spell you did not want to get stolen, just destroyed AGN, and Gamers are falling it, making it 4, and Viper can't even TP out, even if he wants to do. The team wipe is coming, the Viper's going to be fighting desperately, but he's just giving another kill to Toons Reborn, and the control is just taken on back by themselves to AGN. Man, they didn't need to play aggressive there, but Gachi, I don't think he wanted to be the bait there, but it was the perfect bait Toons Reborn needed to get that one hell of a team fight.
Yeah, I'm not going to blame Gachi. I think this is just the series which you know has a really detailed guide of how not to 10th pick. Like both games have featured some pretty questionable last pick heroes who've gone on to have very little impact for a hero that you picked, having already known all of the other heroes in the game.
We're fighting. TCG's going on in. Maybe gets a Night Stalker. Someone's going to be back, but we're fighting on the backside. Herder is going in with the blade mail, but we're staying alive. Everybody's good. Night Stalker is good to go. TCG is charging forward again, going for more kills. He's just running at him. He doesn't care anymore.
These fights are so crazy. I saw a Rubik briefly tanking and frontlining a Slark because he just turned away to force stuff out of the fight and somehow didn't get leashed for his troubles. There is chaos right now. All that I know is that TCG is strong, but so is Hobo, and I feel like this Ember Spirit inevitably has the edge in the late game, strategically, if not in a direct one-to-one fight.
Well, right now he's just chanting a Witch Doctor just beside his tower. He's putting his dominance on the map here. He's basically by himself. I mean, he's got Rubik in the backside, but that's about it. And no kills for you. Just keeps his tower push on in. And really, Toons Reborn, they've got so much control of the game. Maybe they've still a 3 gold lead to AGN so far, but I don't think they're going to be holding on to that too long.
No, I mean, it's already down from, where it was in the last fight, and AGN, despite taking a couple of really effective fights, they are mostly at the mercy of the terrain and, the positioning of Toons and how well they can hide their supports. The last couple of fights have gone bad for them, have gone bad extremely fast, and despite the sniper being isolated and killed for basically nothing, because while that sniper is basically free, and again, just not really sure what was going on with the rest of the team doesn't really have anything to defend themselves against getting run at by Night Stalker. And once this Night Stalker gets BKB, there will be even less to do. Once you start losing health to this Night Stalker who's dancing you in this Ember, the Tombstone just chews you up. It's brutal.
All right, now we're smoked on up, going for a Viper if we can. Chance coming in, finds him, and now we just chase him down. The TPs aren't going to pass long enough, and Hobo is godlike. Viper is dead with no buyback as we charge on forward. Bootyloot going to try and TV, but he's got 1 silence, but they've got an entire team, so Death Ward instantly cancelled. Sentinel steals it again. Death Ward is just cleaning up. You need to kill this Rubik as fast as you can, but he just forced off to the high ground to get on back. The Assassinate's going to come in and keep the side back. He is very low. He's got Spirit Vessel on him too. They just need to be able to finish him off. Soul Rip is not going to be enough to rip him apart, but maybe they can get Johto in return. They will finish him off. Bootyloot has got himself an Undying, but they've been cleaned up. TCG is dead. The hero you want to save, and Sniper is going to be able to take out Bootyloot before he sacrifices himself. And with the kisses, they're raining. He needs to be able to target. Sentinel's moving closer to the target just to get away from the kisses. He's running. They have no way to cancel it, and he gets out. What a save.
What a chaotic fight. Yeah, exactly. Yes, tip the Rubik. That was pretty slick. It takes some extreme confidence to play that way in a team fight. I mean, it saves literally just your Rubik's own life, but it was still very flashy. And I mean, overall, I'm not sure what that fight means for Toons Reborn. That was not as good a win as their last couple of fights. It also wasn't a real hard defeat like they took earlier on in the game. They kind of did their thing, but kind of got bamboozled by the Nature's Prophet, BKB, and just some sloppy positioning from their cores that time, I think.
And Deathward is still there on the Rubik if he wants to use it. So the aggression still come out from Toons Reborn. Like, they're not going to be on the back foot for too long. Maybe they just respawn, smoke on up again, and keep on pushing. And Roche, I mean, it is open, but neither of these teams looks like the ideal Roche lineup.
Yeah, definitely not. I think the team with the best chance of taking it are probably AGN, but they would need to win a clean team fight. I don't think they want to, you know, with their already stated disadvantage in sort of pitched battle team fights, I don't think you want to go into the Roche pit, one of the worst places to get tombstoned on, and just let all the AoEs of Toons have their way with you.
And on the other side as well, Gamerson is just waiting for kisses. He just needs a target to put on it, and what better place than the Roche pit, or what better place than a smoke from AGN looking to play aggressive, thinking that potentially maybe they're doing Roche on the side of Toons Reborn. Bootaloo putting the ult out to keep these creep waves pushed on out, but Gamerson charging forward. Who can he find here? Dire Straits looking straight to Roche first on up, so they're pretty split in their initiation, but it seems like Toons Reborn, they're just like, yeah, we're taking a tier 1 mid, and that's our target.
Yeah, they're dodging for now, and they're going to be visible on mid. Here comes the wraparound.
Going back behind him. Looks like a bit of a split situation. Bootaloo is pushing one lane. They've got TCG coming in on the other. DD being picked up by a Viper, but they can see it, and now it's gone. They know what's up. DD Viper charging forward. Dying Straight's going to be caught out by the Vision. Tombstone's going to be placed out. Nightstalker is charging on forward. Cancelling Wishlock's result instantaneously again. Everybody's broken, but it looks like it's going to be breaking AGN. Viper's doing the damage to the DD. Will be able to take out Gachi again. Sentinel finally dead, but it's the Ember cleaning up with his just remnants. He's just flying back and forth, doing the damage to Playmail, the Viper is just cleaning him up, and Gamer's hard between two of these scores here is not gonna survive. Wow. It's a triple. You got 2 kills, you got Gachi as well, but maybe you can get yourself, I don't know, Johto as well as the balls are dead 3-3, but I'm still not feeling comfortable with AGN unless you're a Night Stalker playing aggressive again, finding yourself an Ember without a silence. Tuso, he gets away.
I don't know if he was just hoping that the Ember would just stand and fight and engage him for a couple of seconds, just desperately trying to like bait him from not going back to base so you could land the Orchid and bring in TCG for the kill. But Hobo is having none of that, definitely not fooled. I think just happy to not be insta-silenced and just remnants out immediately. So, you know, crisis averted, but yeah, I think we're just seeing the strength of the Ember come into play. Still not out of the woods. I would not be overconfident if I was Toons, right? They don't seem to be, but that team fight was on the verge of going wrong in a couple of ways. That, again, the Snapfire found a really strong position to ultimate from. It's quite an achievement that she manages to keep channeling these kisses. And ESPX, you know, running that silence on the Night Stalker, it's his job to go and interrupt her, kind of wasn't in position, and after the silence ended, ran over to try and sort of push her out of the fight or maybe kill the support quickly, and ended up not only not killing her quickly, but actually almost dying himself and kind of ending his role in the fight actively. So, as much as the Ember is just obliterating heroes right now with this Desolator, there are warning signs for the rest of Toons.
It does seem like there's too many priorities for the side of Toons Reborn to really deal with. Nightstalker has so many different balls he has to juggle. In fact, the ball right now is just everybody charging him. He's got a silence. He's going to silence everybody around him, but the damage is still adding. At least the Orchid's not going to kill him, but they kick him on back. TCG still farming aggressively. The BKB is going to be slowed down. Sentinel's going to run back. He will get cast up, but Glimmercape finally picked on up. Keeps him safe enough, but Dire Strait is not so favorable. He doesn't have the invis. The kiss is coming down, but with the Maledict, maybe you can turn something. No. Looks like Dire Strait is just going to be shredded. Nice little damage. TCG moving forward. Bootaloo comes in, gets a silence onto this Ember. He's glimmered again, but now TCG is in the base, looking for some more. The BKB is being popped up. Bootaloo is dead. Ember's revives back. He does go down, but they need to run away if they can. Already 2 lost, make it 3. TCG is running. Viper isn't even here. He's not even in the neighborhood. Pushing out top, and at least TCG gets out. They lose 3, but they force the buyback out from the Ember.
Yeah, I think that's worth it when you consider how important Ember is right now to the side of Toons. Obviously, it's not a hero that has trouble farming. There's some heroes where I'd say, like, you know, Chaos Knight or something, that aren't the greatest farmers, and buying back, you know, permanently cripples their progression. That's not the case here, but when you're leaning on this hero to win your team fights, definitely don't want to spend a bunch of gold like that to get, what, 1 extra kill. This Roshan does kind of justify it, though, if they do get it on him.
Well, they're not going to get it cleanly, it seems. By putting in the break, they know it's up. So maybe they can get a little defense, but they're committing for its half HP. They need to keep focusing.
Still 15 seconds on Prophet.
Isn't going to come back. 15 seconds. They're just marching around. They're going to be cutting waves. They're not going to be to contest. They're going to give it away, give it to the Ember, and maybe hope they can get defense Antonio moving forward, but he will get vision with the dust coming up, but the pick on up onto this Witch Doctor will be able to steal the spells, and it looks like Dire Straits is dead again. He does do a buyback. Nice looks moving on high ground, just going to be flying up. The game is hard here, but Booty Lloyd is finally returned. Silence on the Undying, so no Tombstone, no, it's already in place. He's already cast his Master Spell. He's good to go, and now everybody needs to run out, including TCG, who trying to go in the back line of the BKB. He's trying to reach in, but Ember is chasing, trying to perch off, waiting for change, but it is awkwardly timed. He's able to burst it out, can't burst out the assassination, but we're all good. We only lost ourselves the Witch Doctor, but we still have the... Okay, I say that. Viper's dead. Does have buybacks on both sides, but it's a double kill, and the Aegis now on the side of Toons Reborn. It's looking a little bit better. You might have a little bit of gold on your side, but AGN still feeling the pressure, but at least Booty Load can alleviate a small bit by pushing out the bottom lane and forcing somebody at least to respond.
Yeah, Booty Loot is working insanely hard on this Nature's Prophet right now for trying to threaten the tier 3 tower, making good on AGN's, taking of the tier 2 in that lane much earlier on. They sort of prioritized it more than usual because they know, like, how the game changes when you're down to your tier 3 tower against Nature's Prophet. You kind of become hyper aware of that split pushing threat because, losing a lane to that hero for free is such a sinking feeling and really genuinely a huge impact on your chances of winning the game. So now that you're down to sort of only one line of defense left that Booty Loot can take, especially as he continues to scale up this pile of offensive items with an Assault Cuirass, looks like he's queued up now, that becomes more and more of a priority, and it becomes very difficult to put together effective coordinated pushes and movements as a team when you've always got someone trying to teleport back and shove that lane out even harder. So, you're never going to mess the Prophet's mobility. It becomes a thorn in your side.
It truly does, and right now it seems like AGN, they're just manning up together, keeping the aggression, making sure their side of the map is in control, but at the same point of time, Toons Reborn are keeping control of their side of the map. So we're just going to be filing up a few items, getting the BKB on Witch Doctor, which actually isn't completely out of this world yet. He's going to be picking up, and Shiva's Guard coming up on the Ember. So the big items are going to be picked up, but it seems like Toons Reborn, they don't need them. They're going to smoke, charging up, use this Aegis, use their gold, and XP lead, the item lead, maybe the aggression lead itself to find something. And if you're looking for something, maybe it's just Dire Straits in the mid. He should have a buyback again. Nope, he bought on out for it. So the Witch Doctor, he's dead with no way of getting back into this fight. And yet tier 2 towers, they're looking pretty juicy.
Yeah, that's a hugely important kill. Finding anyone without buyback, honestly, is for Toons at the moment, because the AGN lineup is so built around needing to split these fights up and really spread the attention, as you said. Multiple heroes with channeling spells that need to be interrupted, multiple carry threats that need to be killed who are highly mobile. We're only seeing, Gutsy and Booty Loot commit to the fights with Teleport and Invis after all of the Toons heroes have already run off chasing different supports. And that's how they've been able to win or at least draw even in these fights, is just pulling apart the enemy team and preventing them from coordinating spells.
Oh, he's going. He's silenced. Can he be pounced? No, the pounce was too early, but we do have the cookie. We need some more damage if we can do it, but he's out. He's good. He forced the attention back, which might open a tier 3, but it looks like Viper's solo defending. He's keeping everybody out with a Never Tox, and they might notice a little bit of vision in the mid lane, but for what it's worth, AGN didn't lose anything too massive. They didn't lose any heroes from the Ember Little Bait, and for Toons Reborn, they baited out without losing anything in response. So pretty even trade between them. Extremely close game, maybe 36-25, but Booty Loot's pushing. Reveries, this Viper, sorry, Reveries Viper, what am I talking about? It's just Reverie plays Viper a whole bunch, and as soon as I'm like, hey, it's coming out there, but he's doing exactly what Reverie would do. Sit there, do damage, keep everybody back, and just be a fearsome force.
Yeah, this game is becoming really hard to read now. Like, there's just so much going on, and any individual fight has such a range of outcomes just based on a few, simple but hard to predict developments, like where the AGN heroes end up standing, how close the Night Stalker is, who cops the Viper Strike, like these prominent slowing abilities where the Slark lands a pounce. And like the margins of error are punished so hard because of these really powerful space controlling abilities, or in the case of AGN, powerful channeling ultimates, that it just turns the team fight in an instant.
Right now they're going to turn something because your tier 3 tower, it's being attacked by Toons Reborn. It's going to be slow, but in the bottom lane, we are doing something. The Waymouths will pop, the Suns are going to be there. Booty Loot, he's going to be careful. He does have a BKB, but he's manning up against his Ember. He gets it, but it's the Aegis. He needs to run. He needs to get out of here. The BKB's only going to last so long, but can he get out back to base? He's good. He's good to go, and now we're charging forward. We're fighting Dire Straits. We've got the bounce. He's an invest for a little bit, but the BKB is going to be charging forward to get Dire Straits to keep his depth ward in the ground, but the heal's going to be there. Viper's going to be trying to do damage. Have we lost anybody yet? No, TCG is getting back to safety. He's regenerating with Shadow Dance, and finally the kiss has come, but Viper is already dead. Kisses raining, damage coming. TCG is trying to do something, but this Night Stalker is cleaning on up. Ember has arrived, and now we're cleaning up. We've got the buybacks coming on in. GameStar will get back to save TCG and Dire Straits both fought back for this fight, but how can they get back into it? The cast is coming. It's stolen instantly by the Rubik. The assassinate, the damage, the murder. It takes him down for a dieback. 3 dead. The racks are melting. You cannot be megged. That's the one plus side here, but it seems like AGN, they have now just become on the ropes. The 8k gold lead, the Toons report instantly taken there.
Yeah, I mean, for a moment there, when Booty Luke got the solo kill on the Aegis of the Ember Spirit and then teleported to the top lane successfully, I thought the fight may have turned. But burning the BKB, unfortunately, even though it was, you know, a decent way to spend it, meant that was a very difficult team fight for them to take. You know, the Nature's Prophet's their most farmed hero, and without that BKB, boy, is he fragile. The rest of the team, weirdly, in their own base, actually don't have a lot of places to run. It's all flat, open ground, a lot of vision, and they weren't able to arrest them at the choke point of the high ground. So, yeah, I've talked again and again. This team don't do well when all their heroes are just visible and able to be run at.
Speaking of
it's the draft.
We'd like to thank our final sponsor as well, Vodafone, sponsoring this season of LPL, bringing some great calls between you and friends and family. Never miss a little bit of communication. Call them, always pick up, never drop a call, and they are sponsoring this season of LPL. We thank them for sponsoring. Always a great partner to work with.
Yeah, exactly. And Toons Reborn, they're putting out a call for everyone. You know, what's your next item? How close are you? Does everyone have buyback? Just going through the motions, the last steps of preparation to end the game, trying to work out when their next most immediate power spike is. Because if you are on this team right now, I bet you are feeling in a spot to win, and you are feeling good. They needed the 2-0 to keep their hopes alive in this tournament going forward, and tonight they have showed up to claim that. This game has been a little bit rockier than the first. But now I really struggle to see how AGN can hold on past the next push.
Well, Sentinel's going to get out. Does pop, can't fight him. He's good to go. Man, this Rubik play is insane. you can't put him down.
They have so many stuns.
Man.
Just cancel it.
Yeah, you pick so many stuns to control him, but he just slips in between. You never expect him to be there, but then he just pops on up, says, hey, and then just gets on out. It's crazy. Sentinel's been playing insane this game. In fact, really, Toons Reborn, they've just been improved. These pick up on these players. We've harped on it week after week, but SPX Sentinel have really just rounded out the squad to turn it into a powerhouse.
Yeah, absolutely. Just doing whatever's asked of them in order to make the game run. And ESPX hasn't had the most fun Night Stalker game of his life, but he has definitely provided that floating silence. And now that he's got his items up, has so much more freedom in the fight, and just naturally such a strong hero with level 400 in the night and the ultimate to trigger it whenever he likes. You know, I'm almost surprised we don't see more Night Stalker, if I'm being real with you.
Yeah, it hasn't seemed to slow down. It seems like the perfect pick for Toons Reborn. As soon as it got the items, it did the job. Silence up the Snapfire, both the Witch Doctor never been able to cast out the Death Ward. In fact, I'm pretty sure Sentinel has had more Death Ward cast than the Witch Doctor this game. It's kind of insane, but right now with Silence up Sentinel, but can we get a kill on him? BKB's coming on now. Looks like what TCG is looking for him, but now the Viper is isolated in between everybody. Nice Dog still focusing back on this Witch Doctor again, so he can't cast the spell. In fact, he's dead. Tries to get Meldic, misses both of them. Booty Luke's going to come on in, but Viper's BKB is already done. Same with the MP, can't do a thing, and TCG, he's dead. Looks like he got soloed by Sentinel again. And now we got another team wipe. 3 buybacks though, but I think, yeah, GG is just gonna be called.
Slark's dead for 100 seconds, and there are tier 4s exposed with all the cores alive. This Booty Nature's Prophet is pretty strong, not strong enough to handle things on his own though. And AGN do GG out again. Shoutouts to the boys. And we'll come back and we'll analyze that game. There's a lot to talk about, obviously, but first, we're going to see some messages from our sponsors.
And we are back 2-0 from Toons Reborn against AGN, just exactly when they needed. These weeks are going to be crucial, and Toons Reborn picked it up this series with one impressive play against AGN in both games.
Yeah, GTH, it's like someone looked at their fixture and realized they need to win all their games from here on out in order to have even a shot at making it through to the finals. They definitely played like a team with something to play for today. Crushed AGN, one of the fastest, most one-sided series we've seen all season. AGN, some interesting picks, but I mean, they had a stand in this week. They have already been statistically eliminated. They just weren't able to put up much of a fight.
That's right, but if we're looking at Toons Reborn there, 6-6, they are crawling up that ladder, just gripping to that final 4 spots, which is crucial going into the semi-finals. But this is all the games for tonight, and tomorrow night, it's going to be crawling on back as we got some good series coming up too. Need Uprising versus FIV2, and to end it with a bang, Eternal Discord versus Crossfire.
Yeah, 2 games absolutely loaded with meaning. Of course, they all are this deep into the season. Obviously, teams with a lot of history. In the case of Eternal Discord versus Crossfire, or in Need Uprising versus FFYV2, it's sort of the last chapter of the process we've been going through over the last couple of weeks, where we sort out the real pecking order between the various top 4 teams. And extra spice on the line for Toons Reborn fans, of course, having won tonight. Their fate now rests on these matches. They need Neats and Internal Discord to win, preferably 2-0, to keep their hopes alive.
That's right. These games are crucial. They are looking massive, and I'm excited. But that is all the action here tonight here at LPL. It's only going to be, what, 24 hours to wait before the action comes up tomorrow night at 6:30 Australian Eastern Time or 8:30 New Zealand Standard Time. But we'll be seeing you guys there for all the action here at LPL. We'll catch you there. You don't want to miss a beat. See you soon.